Chapter 16. In Lin Lan's room, Zhou Donghuang sat on one side of the bed and said sternly to Lin Lan, who was half lying on the bed, "Mother, if you encounter something like this in the future, don't take it on yourself. I can carry my own weight now." Okay. Mother understands. Although Lin Lan's face was still a little pale, her face was full of smiles, and her eyes were full of relief. Yes. Unknowingly, her son had grown up and could carry his own weight now. "Young master, young mistress did this because she did not know that you had the ability to kill Wang Yukuan of the Wang family." Granny Lian looked at Zhou Donghuang curiously. "Young master, when you dodged Wang Yukuan's palm, did you use a swiftness technique?" Just now, when Wang Yukuan had attacked Zhou Donghuang, everyone's attention had been on Wang Yukuan's palm. Only Granny Lian subconsciously glanced at Zhou Donghuang's feet, and saw that Zhou Donghuang's feet had made a miraculous step. Swiftness technique? Hearing Granny Lian's question to Zhou Donghuang, Lin Lan's eyes narrowed, and she looked at Zhou Donghuang in surprise. In the country of Yunyang, martial arts techniques were very rare and precious. In the country of Yunyang, the most widely used techniques were lesser-grade technique. In the country of Yunyang, only the imperial family and the royal family had third-grade technique. However, even lesser-grade techniques were not available in a small place like Qingshan town. Even the preeminent families of the prefecture capital had lesser-grade techniques, but only the children of the main family could practice them. Zhou Donghuang nodded. He had indeed used a swiftness technique called the star-stepping footwork, a third-grade swiftness technique. Although he had a lot of martial arts in his memory, with his current true qi, he could only perform third-rate martial arts at most. Although he understood second-rate martial arts and even stronger martial arts, the true qi in his body was simply not enough to display those martial arts. Now, his level of practice was too low, and although he had a brain full of precious techniques, he could only use third-grade technique. "My current cultivation level is too low, and the true qi in my body is thin. Just now, when I used the third-grade movement martial art, star-stepping steps, it consumed 1/3 of my true qi." Zhou Donghuang's heart skipped a beat. "After that, I used the third-grade offensive technique, weighted sand palm, to kill Wang Yukuan. I almost used up all the qi in my body. Moreover, whether it is the star-stepping footwork or the weighted sand palm, the reason why they are so powerful is because of the extreme strength of my muscles." Thinking of this, Zhou Donghuang sighed to himself. His current level of practice was still too low. If he had attained level 1 of qi gathering, using these two techniques would not have depleted the qi in his body. Hiss. With Zhou Donghuang's confirmation, both Granny Lian and Lin Lan could not help but gasp. They had never imagined that Zhou Donghuang had actually mastered a martial arts technique, and it was one of the rarer swiftness technique. Of course, it was also because the two of them did not know that Zhou Donghuang was using a third-grade technique, or else they would have been even more shocked. "Mother, rest well. When your body recovers, I will pass on the swiftness technique to you." Seeing the shock in Lin Lan's eyes, Zhou Donghuang could understand her feelings and said with a smile, "Is that really possible?" Lin Lan's eyes were filled with yearning, but she was also a little hesitant. After all, she did not know where her son had learned the technique and whether it would be convenient to pass it on to her. The Lin family of the prefecture capital also had a lesser-grade swiftness technique, but it was only an offensive technique, and in terms of value, it was not as valuable as a lesser-grade swiftness technique. However, even so, that martial art could only be practiced by the direct descendants of the Lin family and the elders of the branch families. A collateral descendant like Lin Lan had no right to practice it. But just because she did not have the right to practice it did not mean that she did not yearn for it. Of course. Zhou Donghuang nodded affirmatively and looked at Granny Lian, who was standing at the side. "Even if Granny Lian wishes to learn it, I can pass it on to her as well." Young master, Zhou Donghuang's words made Granny Lian extremely excited. That was a martial arts technique, and it was a very precious thing even in the prefecture capital. As far as she knew, lesser-grade swiftness techniques were only available in the governor's household in the prefecture capital. The other preeminent families only had 1 or 2 lesser-grade offensive and defensive techniques at most. In a small place like Qingshan Town, a level 1 adept of qi gathering, even if he had only practiced a lesser-grade technique, was enough to defeat any other level 1 adept who had not practiced any martial arts. Martial arts were the ultimate techniques that could be created by the application of qi to an extremely high level. Although it was possible to create one, it was extremely difficult. Even if it was a lesser-grade martial art move, very few people could create it themselves. More people enjoyed the legacy of their ancestors. Granny Lian, take good care of my mother. I'm going out to do some things. Zhou Dongwang waited until Lin Lan had fallen asleep before he stood up and left Lin Lan's room after saying goodbye to Granny Lian. Everyone in Qingshan Town knows that I am now the owner of Yunxian Restaurant. Any normal person would think that I have a close relationship with the previous owner of Yunxian Restaurant, Zhao San, and be wary of me, afraid to provoke me, deeply afraid that I have some close relationship with Zhao San. Zhou Dongwang walked out of the Magnolia Guild, his expression still a little ugly as he thought of the day's events. He had never imagined that the Wang family would dare to come seeking revenge. Under normal circumstances, even if the Magnolia Guild had lost the support of the Lin family of the prefecture capital, his status as the owner of Yunxian Restaurant would still have been enough to intimidate the Wang family. But the Wang family had come knocking. This meant that the Wang family might have known something from somewhere. At least, the Wang family must have been certain that Zhao San would not make trouble for them because of him, which was why they had dared to do so. He had to get to the bottom of this. Now, the crowd at the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild had dispersed, and the Wang family had disappeared, taking with them the bodies of Wang Yukuan and the second elder of the Wang family. The Wang family. Zhou Dongwang walked out of the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild and went directly to the Wang family mansion, attracting many onlookers along the way. This young Master Dongwang of the Magnolia Guild is going to the Wang family mansion? Looks like today's events are not over, but I never thought that he would have the ability to kill the bloody-handed butcher, Wang Yukuan. To think that we thought he was a martial invalid. If he was a martial invalid, what would we be? A martial invalid who is not even comparable to a martial invalid? Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Zhou Dongwang came to the main entrance of the Wang family mansion, kicked it open with a loud bang, and strode in. However, the passers-by who had followed him did not dare to follow him in. After all, this was the Wang family mansion, and it was not a place that could be entered casually. If Zhou Dongwang entered the Wang family mansion and destroyed the entire Wang family, it would not be a big deal if they followed him in, but if he did not destroy the entire Wang family, the Wang family would definitely not let them off easily. Although they were curious, they did not dare to take the risk. About 15 minutes later, they saw Zhou Dongwang come out, and only came to their senses as they watched Zhou Dongwang's figure disappear at the end of the road. What's going on? He's out so soon? This little bit of time was definitely not enough to destroy the entire Wang family. In a moment, the crowd saw a few more disciples of the Wang family come out, repair and close the main door, and the Wang family mansion was once again peaceful. Yunxian Restaurant. In the heavenly dining booth, Zhou Dongwang sat cross-legged at the dining table, his left hand resting on the thigh of his raised left leg, his right hand on the table, his fingers bent and tapping lightly on the table. In front of him, the chief steward of Yunxian Restaurant, Li Xian, stood there, his face pale and his whole body trembling violently. Li Xian, well done. Zhou Dongwang grinned. Young Master Dongwang, this old servant was wrong. Although Zhou Dongwang was smiling, Li Xian was so frightened that he fell to his knees with a thud, lowering his head in apology. Do you know, because of what you said, my mother is still lying in bed recovering from her injuries? The smile on Zhou Donghuang's face grew wider, but his gaze gradually turned cold, causing the temperature in the booth to drop several degrees in an instant. If I had not gone out in time, she would have died at the hands of Wang Yukuan. He had just made a trip to the Wang family and understood the entire sequence of events clearly. The patriarch of the Wang family, Red Crane Wang, had seen him like a mouse seeing a cat. Not to mention avenging Wang Yukuan, he had even wanted to drag his own son, Wang Feng, before Zhou Donghuang in the name of justice. In response to Zhou Donghuang's question, Red Crane Wang honestly confessed that it was because Li Xian had said that Zhao San would not stand up for him, so the Wang family had dared to block the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild. Young Master Donghuang, this old servant was wrong. Please give this old servant a chance to redeem himself. Sensing the murderous intent in Zhou Donghuang's cold tone, Li Xian's body trembled even more, and his voice was filled with fear. On account of Zhao San, I will give you a quick death. Zhou Donghuang rose from his seat, his tone indifferent, deciding Li Xian's fate with a single sentence. Young Master Donghuang, you cannot kill me. You cannot kill me. In the face of death, Li Xian was somewhat panic-stricken. If you do not kill me, when my brother from the Li family arrives from the prefecture capital, I can persuade him to go back and not have any designs on your Yunxian restaurant. If you kill me, he will definitely be determined to get his hands on Yunxian restaurant. The Li family? The prefecture capital? Looks like you are from the Li family of the prefecture capital. Furthermore, you informed the Li family to come and seize my Yunxian restaurant? Zhou Donghuang had not expected that Zhao San would leave such a ticking time bomb for him before he left. Of course, he knew in his heart that this was not Zhao San's intention. Otherwise, Zhao San's gifting of Yunxian restaurant to him would have been an unnecessary gesture. When he had treated Zhao San's chronic illness, he had not made any demands, and it was Zhao San who had insisted on gifting Yunxian restaurant to him. The Li family of the prefecture capital, like the Lin family of the prefecture capital that backed the Magnolia Guild, and the Hong family of the prefecture capital that backed the Sunset Guild, were all preeminent families of the prefecture capital. But do you think I would be afraid of your Li family? Zhou Donghuang laughed coldly as he kicked out with his foot, hitting Li Xian squarely in the chest. A terrifying force exploded, and Li Xian flew out like an arrow released from a bow, crashing into the wall with a loud crash. In the next moment, Li Xian's body scraped against the wall and fell heavily to the ground, completely lifeless. Chapter 17. When Zhou Donghuang entered Yunxian restaurant this time, the group of servant girls and waiters of Yunxian restaurant looked at him not only with respect, but also with admiration. Evidently, they already knew what had happened at the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild that afternoon. Now that Zhou Donghuang had killed Chief Steward Li Xian of Yunxian restaurant and walked out of Yunxian restaurant, the group of servant girls and waiters looked at him with more fear than before, as if he were some dreadful monster. "What's your name?" Zhou Donghuang asked the waiter who had followed him out of Yunxian restaurant as he turned around to see him off. This waiter was also the only person in the enormous Yunxian restaurant who dared to follow him out to see him off. Everyone else's legs were like lead, and they did not dare to move an inch. "Boss, I'm called Ah Fu." The shop assistant was about 17 or 18 years old, tall and well-built, and in response to Zhou Donghuang's question, a simple and honest smile appeared on his face. "Yes. In the next few days, you will be the acting chief steward of Yunxian restaurant, replacing Li Xian in managing Yunxian restaurant. If you do well, you will be the new chief steward of Yunxian restaurant." With that, before Fu could react, Zhou Donghuang had already turned and left. "Thank you, boss." After a shudder, Fu finally recovered his senses and looked at Zhou Donghuang's receding figure from afar, his eyes and face full of excitement. As for the group of waiters and servant girls in Yunxian restaurant, when they heard what Zhou Donghuang had said to Fu, they wanted to slap themselves. Just now, why had they not followed him out like Fu had? However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. Fu's bravery had given him a different treatment. After leaving Yunxian Restaurant, Zhou Dongwang went to the Sunset Guild. Young Master Dongwang. In the hall of the Sunset Guild, Guild Master Hong Yu welcomed Zhou Dongwang to the main seat with a humble smile on his face. "I wonder what brings you here?" In fact, Hong Yu was still a little apprehensive. He was afraid that Zhou Dongwang would take his anger out on him because Chen Dandan had leaked the formula to the Sunset Guild. With the other party's strength, a single slap would be enough to kill him. "I'll give you 2 days to gather all of these herbs for me." Zhou Dongwang asked for a pen and paper from Hong Yu and wrote down the names of a bunch of herbs. "Of course, I will not shortchange you. If you are unable to gather these herbs within 2 days in the future, Yunxian Restaurant will no longer lend money to the Sunset Guild." After putting down the paper filled with herbs, Zhou Dongwang rose from his seat and strode out of the hall of the Magnolia Guild. Only Hong Yu was left holding the piece of paper filled with herbs, a bitter smile on his face. "This young Master Dongwang is really giving me a hard time. Qingshan Town won't be able to gather all these herbs in a short time. Looks like I can only send people to the neighboring towns at top speed. In this way, I should be able to gather these medicinal ingredients within 2 days." Like the Magnolia Guild, the Sunset Guild had to borrow money from Yunxian Restaurant from time to time due to a lack of funds. Now that Zhou Dongwang was the owner of Yunxian Restaurant, he only needed to say one word to sever the tacit lending relationship that had been established between Yunxian Restaurant and the Sunset Guild for a long time, causing the Sunset Guild to run out of funds. Moreover, if Zhou Dongwang's Yunxian Restaurant refused to lend money to the Sunset Guild, the lesser families of Qingshan Town would certainly not dare to lend money to the Sunset Guild, for they would be afraid of offending Zhou Dongwang. Today, outside the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild, Zhou Dongwang stepped over Wang Yukuan's corpse and made a name for himself. From now on, Qingshan Town will have one less Wang Yukuan and one more Zhou Dongwang. Hong Yu knew that this was the general trend, and no matter how difficult the task that Zhou Dongwang had given him, he would do his best to carry it out. Walking out of the Magnolia Guild, Zhou Dongwang's eyes narrowed slightly. "I have given Hong Yu so much pressure. He should be able to gather all the herbs for me within 2 days, then I will be able to formulate an even better qi-gathering elixir and increase the speed of my practice. In this way, I will be able to attain level 1 of qi-gathering even faster." The herbs that Zhou Dongwang had written down for Hong Yu were herbs that the Magnolia Guild did not have. It would be difficult for Qingshan Town to gather them in such a short time, but looking at the small towns around Qingshan Town, they would most likely be able to gather them. On the way back to the Magnolia Guild, Zhou Dongwang remembered something. Today is the 21st of December, 1227 of the Ziyun era. Tomorrow is the 22nd of December, 1227 of the Ziyun era. In my previous life, it was tomorrow that the crazy Taoist appeared before me and took me to Earth. In my previous life, the crazy Taoist targeted me entirely because of the seal that Father placed in my body. Now that the seal in my body has been removed, he will definitely not target me like he did in my previous life and take me to Earth. However, although he will not take me with him, he will definitely go to Earth, because he was originally on his way to Earth when he passed by the planet of Ziyun and discovered the seal in my body. Delighted by the prospect, he brought me along with him to Earth. The crazy Taoist was a deranged, sloppily dressed old Taoist, and because of this, Zhou Dongwang called him the crazy Taoist. As for the origins of the crazy Taoist, he knew nothing. In his previous life, after the crazy Taoist helped him remove the seal in his body on Earth, he completely disappeared from his world, and even after he left Earth, he had never seen the crazy Taoist again. Earth, thinking of Earth, a look of nostalgia flashed across Zhou Donghuang's eyes. That beautiful blue planet was the one he had spent the longest time on in his previous life, and he viewed it as his home. Before going to Earth, he would never have dreamed that there would be such a unique planet, where martial arts had declined and technology was the dominant force. There were all sorts of magical means of transportation, such as bicycles, motorcycles, cars, trains, planes, and so on. It was only after a few days on Earth that he realized that even Singles' Day could become a shopping festival. In his previous life, when he arrived on Earth, it was the 5th of November, 2018. The 11th of November, 2018, was Singles' Day, and at the same time, it was a shopping festival. When I have the ability to travel through the stars with my own body, I still have to make a trip to Earth. There are some old friends there who have helped me a lot, and they are waiting for me to change their fates. In his previous life on Earth, Zhou Donghuang had gotten to know quite a number of people. These people had helped him not long after he had arrived on Earth. Later on, when some of them had encountered huge problems, he had also helped them solve them. In this life, he had not been brought to Earth by the crazy Taoist, so those people would never know him again. However, their problems would still arise. Therefore, Zhou Donghuang decided to make a trip to Earth to help them solve their problems. Otherwise, it would definitely be a regret in his heart. However, it is too early to think about this now. The most important thing now is to attain level 1 of the gathered qi. Returning to the Magnolia Guild, Zhou Donghuang continued to practice the Lord of the Four Supremes in seclusion. He did not sleep for the entire day and night, practicing until the next morning, when he stopped and walked out of his room to go to his mother's room. Donghuang, what kind of wound-healing elixir did you give mother yesterday? Such serious internal injuries were completely healed in just one night. When Zhou Donghuang entered, Lin Lan had already gotten out of bed, looking refreshed as if nothing had happened. Moreover, I feel very light all over my body now, and I have not felt so relaxed in a long time. Mother, that was my specially made wound-healing elixir. Just that bottle of wound-healing elixir alone, the herbs I used cost more than 30 liang of silver. Do you think it's not very effective? Zhou Donghuang smiled. 30 liang of silver? Lin Lan was shocked. Just that bottle of wound-healing elixir costs more than 30 liang of silver? Mother, you know your injury best. How much do you think a wound-healing elixir that can heal such an injury in a day and night would fetch on the market? Zhou Donghuang asked with a smile. My injury yesterday not only injured my ribs and meridians, but my internal organs were also injured and slightly displaced. Lin Lan murmured to herself as she thought. Lin Lan murmured to herself as she pondered. The more she thought about it, the more shocked she became. If such a wound-healing elixir were to be sold on the market, even if it was priced at 100 liang of silver, there would definitely be people fighting to buy it. As the guild master of the Magnolia Guild, Lin Lan had a good grasp of the market price. If I had taken the wound-healing elixir that is widely available on the market, my injury would not have recovered to such an extent without at least 10 days to half a month. That is to say, the value of this wound-healing elixir is more than 10 times that of the widely available wound-healing elixirs. As she murmured to herself, Lin Lan looked at Zhou Donghuang with shining eyes, like a wild wolf that had been starving for a long time and had finally seen its prey. That is to say, you have the formula for this wound-healing elixir in your hands? Seeing this, Zhou Donghuang naturally knew that Lin Lan's merchant mind had become active, and he mercilessly dampened Lin Lan's hopes. Mother, don't forget, the Magnolia Guild has already collapsed. Moreover, do you think that we can sell this wound-healing elixir so casually? Think about it. In the country of Yunyang, how effective is the best wound-healing elixir that has appeared so far? In the country of Yunyang, the best wound-healing elixir that had appeared so far was made by the superior-level medicine masters of the imperial court, and it was only twice as effective as the wound-healing elixir that was widely available on the market. With Zhou Donghuang's reminder, Lin Lan regained her rationality and said with a serious expression, I was too excited just now, this wound-healing elixir must not be sold. As the guild master of the Magnolia Guild for so many years, Lin Lan naturally understood the principle of an innocent man gets into trouble because of his wealth. Chapter 18. Zhou Dongwang did not practice for the rest of the day. He helped Lin Lan and Granny Lian move the treasures from the Magnolia Guild's treasure storehouse to the courtyard behind Yunxian Restaurant. As for the other goods, a group of guards and servant girls were responsible for moving them. When night fell, the Magnolia Guild was deserted. Zhou Dongwang stood with Lin Lan at the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild for a long time. "Mother, the new will not come if the old does not go," Zhou Dongwang advised. "Even so, the Magnolia Guild has been around for more than 10 years. Lin Lan sighed. More than 10 years of hard work, in the end, was it all going to go down the drain? The old Magnolia Guild has fallen. Can't a new Magnolia Guild start anew? Zhou Dongwang countered. A new Magnolia Guild? Lin Lan turned around and looked at Zhou Dongwang with sparkling eyes. Dongwang, you mean, Mother, to establish a new Magnolia Guild? As long as Mother is willing. Yunxian Restaurant will always be Mother's shield, Zhou Dongwang said with a smile. He had thought it through over the past 2 days. If his mother still could not let go of the Magnolia Guild, he would establish a new Magnolia Guild for her. With the financial support of Yunxian Restaurant, the new Magnolia Guild would not be inferior to the old one. Dongwang. Lin Lan smiled bitterly. Establishing a guild is not that simple. The preeminent families of the prefecture capital will not allow an ordinary person to establish a guild and compete with the guilds under them for business. If I establish a new Magnolia Guild, neither the Hong family of the prefecture capital nor the Lin family of the prefecture capital will agree. Because Qingshan town is the territory of the guilds under them. Even your Yunxian Restaurant, if not for the fear of Elder Zhao San's reputation, there would be many people eyeing it. Speaking of which, Lin Lan's face also became solemn. The Wang family's visit to seek revenge the day before had allowed her to guess some things. Zhao San would not necessarily care about her son Zhou Dongwang's affairs. Zhao San had probably sent her son Zhou Dongwang to Yunxian Restaurant to repay a favor. In the coming days, when news of the change in ownership of Yunxian Restaurant reached the prefecture capital, many people would surely go to the governor's household to find out what Zhao San had to say. As long as Zhao San expressed that he did not care who Yunxian Restaurant belonged to in the future, there would certainly be many people coming to Qingshan town to fight for Yunxian Restaurant. Dongwang, tell me honestly, what is your relationship with Zhao San? If someone came to rob Yunxian Restaurant, would he help you? Lin Lan asked Zhou Dongwang solemnly. Mother, I, Zhou Dongwang, can protect my own things. Zhou Dongwang smiled lightly. But his words had another meaning in Lin Lan's ears. Zhao San would not help. Immediately, Lin Lan became even more worried, and all she could think of was how to help Zhou Dongwang protect Yunxian Restaurant. She no longer thought of establishing a new Magnolia Guild. Dongwang, Mother is a little tired. Let's go back. Hearing Lin Lan's invitation, Zhou Dongwang and Lin Lan left the Magnolia Guild together and returned to Yunxian Restaurant. Yunxian Restaurant occupied a large area, but only the area in front was open to the public. The area behind it was a compound that was not open to the public. This was where Zhao San used to live. Compared to the environment of the Magnolia Guild, the environment here was even better. The guards and servant girls of the Magnolia Guild all smiled brightly when they arrived. When they returned, Granny Lian had already instructed the guards and servant girls to make all the necessary arrangements. The spacious room that Zhao San used to live in had become Zhou Donghuang's room. That Zhao San really knows how to enjoy himself. In the spacious room, a row of screens separated 2 areas. One was where the bed was, and the other was a table with pen and paper on it. Obviously, this was where Zhao San usually practiced his calligraphy. In addition, there were many paintings and calligraphy on the walls of the room. The words were bold and powerful, and they were all signed Zhao San. The calligraphy is not bad, it's a pity that it lacks some grandeur. Zhou Dongwang came to the table, and on a whim, he picked up the brush on the table, dipped it in ink, and wrote on the white paper on the table, "If anyone dares to provoke me, I will teach him a lesson." These words were even more bold and powerful than Zhao San's, and most importantly, they had a majestic grandeur to them. As for the signature, Zhou Dongwang casually waved his hand and wrote his name in a flourish. A piece of calligraphy that far surpassed any of Zhao San's had been born. However, Zhou Dongwang did not hang it up, but left it casually on the table. He went behind the screen and went to practice on his bed. He practiced all the way until the next day, when the guild master of the Sunset Guild, Hong Yu, came to deliver all the herbs that Zhou Dongwang had given him. Only then did Zhou Dongwang wake up from his practice. With the herbs that he needed, Zhou Dongwang formulated a qi-gathering elixir that could increase the sensitivity to qi by 3 times. When this qi-gathering elixir appeared before Lin Lan, she could not help but be shocked after she tried it. "Mother, you should destroy all your qi and practice from the beginning." Zhou Dongwang looked at Lin Lan seriously and said, "I have a better and more suitable method of practice in my hands. If you practice that method, your future will be limitless." "Mother is already so old, how can my future be limitless?" Lin Lan shook her head, thinking that Zhou Dongwang was comforting her. "However, if Dongwang thinks it's good, I can destroy all my qi and practice from the beginning." Finally, Lin Lan destroyed all her qi in front of Zhou Dongwang, intending to practice the method that Zhou Dongwang had given her again. From beginning to end, she had no hesitation and trusted Zhou Dongwang unconditionally. The method that Zhou Dongwang had given Lin Lan was not the Lord of the Four Supremes, nor was it the Thousand-Star Sword Technique, the Fiery Thunder Training Regimen, or the Manual of Unruffled Sage. Instead, it was a method called the Technique of Everlasting Youth. This method was also one of the top methods in the universe, but its main focus was not on combat, but on longevity. The more one practiced this method, the longer one's life would be. Moreover, the speed of practice was not slow. Most importantly, it was very friendly to those with average talent. On the path of practice, it could subtly change and enhance the practitioner's talent. "Mother, this technique of everlasting youth is the most suitable method for you that I can think of. Practice it well, and in the future you will be able to feel its wonders for yourself." Zhou Dongwang wrote down the technique of everlasting youth and instructed Lin Lan to memorize its contents before burning it. He left 10 bottles of qi-gathering elixirs for Lin Lan, which could increase the sensitivity to qi by 3 times, before leaving Lin Lan's room. The method that he had chosen for Lin Lan might not be the best, but it was the most suitable for Lin Lan. Next, I should rely on this newly formulated qi-gathering elixir to break through to level 1 of qi-gathering. After returning from Lin Lan's room, Zhou Dongwang continued to practice. And the 22nd day of the 12th month of the 1227 of the Ziyun era gradually passed as Zhou Dongwang practiced. From beginning to end, the crazy Taoist did not appear. Zhou Dongwang successfully changed the history of his previous life, and was not brought away from the planet of Ziyun to Earth by the crazy Taoist. On the 23rd day of the 12th month of the 1227 of the Ziyun era, noon. "Young master," Fu said, "someone from the Li family of the prefecture capital came to Yunxian restaurant and asked to see you." Granny Lian's voice rang out in the room, causing Zhou Dongwang to pause his practice. "The Li family of the prefecture capital?" Zhou Dongwang's eyes narrowed slightly, and a cold light flashed across them. "Looks like it is the clan brother from the Li family of the prefecture capital that Li Xian mentioned." When Zhou Dongwang walked into a heavenly dining booth in Yunxian restaurant, a well-built middle-aged man in blue was sweeping up the delicacies on the table like a tornado. "You're looking for me?" Zhou Dongwang asked as he pushed open the door and entered, his gaze sweeping over the middle-aged man indifferently. "You are the new owner of Yunxian restaurant, Zhou Dongwang?" The middle-aged man only lifted his head to look at Zhou Donghuang indifferently before continuing to bury his head in the delicacies on the table. As he ate, he said in an inarticulate and commanding tone, "Where is Li Xian? Tell him to come out and see me." "Li Xian?" Zhou Donghuang smiled indifferently. "I'm afraid you won't be able to see him." "What do you mean?" The middle-aged man finally stopped eating, and his gaze fell like lightning on Zhou Donghuang, and his expression darkened slightly. "Nothing much. I just wanted to tell you that he's already dead, and if you want to see him, I'm afraid you'll have to enter the gates of hell to find him." Zhou Donghuang's smile remained. You killed him?" The middle-aged man's expression changed, and he shook his head. "I almost forgot, you're just a martial invalid. You instructed someone to kill him? If I told you I stomped him to death, would you believe me?" Zhou Donghuang asked. "You?" The middle-aged man sneered. Although Li Xian's martial talent was not much, he was still a level 1 adept of qi gathering. "You, a martial invalid, what right did you have to kill him? It looks like you've just arrived in Qingshan town." Hearing this, Zhou Donghuang knew that the middle-aged man must have just arrived in Qingshan town, or else he would have heard from someone else that he had killed the level 2 adept Wang Yukuan. These few days, the talk of Qingshan town had revolved around him killing Wang Yukuan. "Speak, what do you want from me?" Zhou Donghuang asked impatiently. "If there's nothing else, I'm in a hurry to go back and practice." "You're a martial invalid, what are you practicing for?" The middle-aged man laughed coldly. "Zhou Donghuang, since you've come yourself, I'll be honest with you. The second young master of the Li family of the prefecture capital has taken a liking to this Yunxian restaurant, so he sent me to Qingshan town to buy it from you." The middle-aged man revealed his purpose in a few words. The last time he had received Li Xian's letter, he had immediately sought out the second young master of the Li family of the prefecture capital whom he was loyal to, because he knew that a business like Yunxian restaurant was not something he could afford to buy. But if he gave it to the second young master, not only would he be able to make a contribution, but he would also be able to reap even more benefits. "By Yunxian restaurant?" Zhou Donghuang's deep gaze fell on the middle-aged man, and he asked indifferently, "Then, how much does the second young master of the Li family of the prefecture capital intend to spend to buy my Yunxian restaurant?" 1,000 liang. The middle-aged man's gaze was like lightning as he met Zhou Donghuang's gaze. Chapter 19. 1,000 liang of silver? Zhou Donghuang was taken aback at first, and then he could not help but laugh. "Do you know, my Yunxian restaurant's daily turnover, after deducting all expenses, is more than 1,000 liang of silver? If Yunxian restaurant was yours, and someone offered you 1,000 liang of silver to buy it, would you sell it?" As he said this, Zhou Donghuang looked at the middle-aged man as if he were looking at an idiot. "Zhou Donghuang, 1,000 liang of silver is our second young master's greatest sincerity. If you are not willing, be careful that you lose the restaurant and not get a single cent." The middle-aged man's eyes flashed coldly, and his tone carried a hint of threat. "What? Does that second young master of the Li family of the prefecture capital want to rob me of my restaurant?" Zhou Donghuang's expression did not change, but the smile on his face grew wider. "You can think of it that way," the middle-aged man said in a low voice. "I'll give you one last chance. Either you accept the 1,000 liang of silver and give me the title deed to Yunxian restaurant. Otherwise, I will cripple your limbs and take the title deed to Yunxian restaurant from you." As he spoke, the middle-aged man rose from his seat and stared at Zhou Donghuang with a sinister smile, as if he would immediately attack Zhou Donghuang if he dared to refuse. As a level 2 adept, he did not think that he could not handle this martial invalid before him. "What? Do you still want to fight?" Zhou Donghuang asked with a smile, his face calm and relaxed, showing no trace of the fear that the middle-aged man had imagined. However, there was a trace of coldness in the depths of his eyes. "Cripple his arms and legs? It looks like you have chosen the latter." The middle-aged man's eyes flashed, and with a shake of his body, he took a quick step towards Zhou Donghuang, his arms extended and retracted like an eagle spreading its wings, his hands forming claws and grabbing at Zhou Donghuang's shoulders. In that case, I will first cripple your arms. A level 2 adept of qi gathering? The moment the middle-aged man made his move, Zhou Donghuang could tell that he was a level 2 adept, but his qi was not as thick as Wang Yuquan's. Even Wang Yuquan had died at his hands. At that time, he was far weaker than he was now. These 2 days of practice had thickened the qi in his body, and he was only a step away from level 1 of qi gathering. Who? Just as the middle-aged man appeared in front of Zhou Donghuang, his hands grabbing at Zhou Donghuang's shoulders, Zhou Donghuang's upper body bent backwards, as though he was drawing a bow. His arms trembled, and in an instant, his body straightened as he flung both palms towards the middle-aged man's arms. Just as the middle-aged man was shocked at the speed of Zhou Donghuang's attack, Zhou Donghuang's 2 palms had already landed on his arms. Bang! Bang! Crack! Crack! 2 loud sounds rang out, accompanied by the crisp sound of bones breaking. The next moment, the middle-aged man let out a blood-curdling scream like a pig being butchered. His entire body flew backward and fell heavily on the dining table. He was in a sorry state. Whoosh! At the same time that the middle-aged man's body landed on the dining table, Zhou Donghuang moved and caught up to the dining table. He stepped on the chest of the middle-aged man, who was struggling to get up, and pushed him back down again. You want to snatch Yunxian restaurant from me, Zhou Donghuang, with just this bit of ability? Zhou Donghuang looked down at the middle-aged man and grinned. The middle-aged man looked at Zhou Donghuang with shock and terror, as though he had seen a ghost, and he was cursing Li Xian incessantly in his heart. Didn't that Li Xian say that Zhou Donghuang was a martial invalid? How could a martial invalid have such great ability? In the instant that Zhou Donghuang's 2 palms landed on his arms and crippled them, he realized that Zhou Donghuang's ability was above his own. Just the power contained in those 2 palms was not something that an ordinary level 2 adept of qi gathering could produce, to say nothing of anything else. Go back and tell that Bulsh *T second young master of the Li family of the prefecture capital that if he wants to snatch my Yunxian restaurant, tell him to come here himself. As he spoke, Zhou Donghuang's gaze suddenly turned cold, and he squatted down without warning, his palms once again landing on the middle-aged man's legs. Immediately, the middle-aged man's legs followed in the footsteps of his arms, and he once again let out a blood-curdling scream like a pig being slaughtered and fainted. Just a moment ago, the middle-aged man had been incomparably arrogant, declaring that he would cripple Zhou Donghuang's arms and legs. Now, Zhou Donghuang's arms and legs were unharmed, but the middle-aged man's had been crippled. Walking out of the heavenly dining booth, Zhou Donghuang said to Chief Steward Fu, who was standing guard outside, "Take the money from him for this meal. Then find a few people outside and a stretcher to send him back to the Li family of the prefecture capital. You don't have to take the money from him for hiring those people and buying the stretcher. We at Yunxian Restaurant can still afford this bit of money." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Donghuang left under Fu's respectful gaze. Looks like the fact that I, Zhou Donghuang, have become the owner of Yunxian Restaurant has made many people restless. As he walked out of Yunxian Restaurant, a cold look flashed across Zhou Donghuang's eyes. However, if they want to take Yunxian Restaurant from my hands, we'll have to see if they have the ability to do so. Zhou Donghuang knew very well. The Li family of the prefecture capital had designs on Yunxian Restaurant, and this was only the beginning. Because of Li Xian, the Li family of the prefecture capital was more well-informed, and they knew that Zhao San did not have a close relationship with him and would not stand up for him. In the future, more people would seek out Zhao San or those close to him to make inquiries, and once it was confirmed that Zhao San was not related to him, those people would definitely not let go of a fat piece of meat like Yunxian Restaurant. Yunxian restaurant was the most profitable business in Qingshan town, and any preeminent family of the prefecture capital would be tempted by it. I must strive to attain level 1 of qi gathering before today. After leaving Yunxian restaurant, Zhou Dongwang returned to the courtyard behind Yunxian restaurant, and the guards at the entrance bowed respectfully to him. Young master! Young master! The guards were all veterans of the Magnolia Guild, and they had watched Zhou Dongwang grow up, but now they looked at this young master with reverence in their eyes. They did not dare to look at Zhou Dongwang as if he were a junior. They knew very well that after this young master had killed the level 2 adept Wang Yukuan, the pillar of the family was no longer the guild master of the Magnolia Guild, Lin Lan, but this young master. On his way back to his room, Zhou Dongwang passed by Lin Lan's room, and he saw Granny Lian hesitating in front of Lin Lan's room with a frown, unsure whether to knock or not. "Granny Lian, what's the matter? Are you looking for my mother?" Zhou Dongwang asked Granny Lian softly. "Young master." Seeing Zhou Dongwang, Granny Lian glanced cautiously at Lin Lan's room. "Let's talk in the drawing room outside." Once in the drawing room, Granny Lian said with a bitter smile, "Young master, it's like this. Half a month ago, the Qingyun Guild of Ningping Town ordered 10 bracelets of pure gold made by the Lin family of the prefecture capital from our Magnolia Guild. Because of their high value, we had originally intended for leader Lin Ping to deliver them personally, but he was summoned back to the Lin family. Lin Ping was the former chief guard of the Magnolia Guild, a level 2 adept of qi gathering, and he had been assigned by the Lin family of the prefecture capital to guard the Magnolia Guild in Qingshan town. When the Magnolia Guild sent out goods of high value, Lin Ping would usually personally escort them. The people sent by the Lin family of the prefecture capital to establish the new guild should have arrived in Qingshan town by now, right? Can't we let them deliver it? Zhou Dongwang asked. Granny Lian shook her head. The accounts for this transaction have already been settled with the Lin family of the prefecture capital. The balance of the 10 bracelets delivered and the money collected will be our Magnolia Guild's own money, and there is no need to share it with the Lin family. Because of this, they still had to deliver the goods themselves and collect the balance. 10 bracelets of pure gold. The value of 10 bracelets of pure gold was not low, and without the personal escort of a level 2 adept, no one would dare to sell them. Granny Lian, I will personally deliver them, Zhou Dongwang said to Granny Lian. Zhou Dongwang said to Granny Lian, help me arrange a carriage. I am going to practice on the road. From Qingshan town to Ningping town on horseback, a day and night's journey would be sufficient for the round trip. However, if it was a carriage, it would take 3 days and 3 nights. However, there was no way to practice on horseback, but if it was a carriage, he could practice in the carriage. At this critical juncture of attaining level 1 of qi gathering, Zhou Dongwang did not want to waste any time. All right. Hearing that Zhou Dongwang would personally escort the 10 bracelets of pure gold, Granny Lian's eyes lit up, and she hurriedly left the drawing room to make the arrangements. In her opinion, her young master personally escorting them would be foolproof. After all, her young master had even been able to kill the level 2 adept of the Wang family, Wang Yukuan, who was known as the bloody-handed butcher. The bandits roaming the roads between the small towns could not possibly be a match for her young master. Granny Lian was very efficient. After about a quarter of an hour, Zhou Dongwang took the heavy wooden box containing the 10 bracelets of pure gold, boarded the carriage, and left Qingshan town. The driver of the carriage was a middle-aged guard from the Magnolia Guild. He was also a veteran of the Magnolia Guild, having joined the Magnolia Guild when it was first established. Uncle He, on the road, if you encounter a situation you cannot handle, throw this bell in. Zhou Dongwang handed a bell to the middle-aged guard driving the carriage as he left Qingshan town. If it is an ordinary bandit, you can negotiate with them. Tell them to get lost. If they insist on staying and you cannot handle them, throw the bell in and I will deal with them. As Zhou Dongwang spoke, a cold glint flashed in his eyes, ready to devour someone. Yes, young master. The middle-aged guard respectfully received the bell from Zhou Donghuang and carefully tucked it into his bosom. Zhou Donghuang was prepared to focus on practicing, and although he could hear any commotion, he did not intend to stop practicing. Therefore, he had given the middle-aged guard a bell in case he needed it. He had also asked Granny Lien to prepare this bell. Chapter 20. It was peaceful in Qingshan town. However, outside of Qingshan town, one could encounter danger at any time. Danger could come from ferocious wild beasts that wandered out of the forest, or from bandits roaming the area. On the way from Qingshan town to Ningping town, bandits often lurked on the side, waiting for an opportunity to rob them of their wealth and sect. Not only could women be raped, but even some good-looking and charming young men could also be raped. Between Qingshan town and Ningping town, there was a road that required passing through a stretch of overgrown forest. This was also the place where bandits often appeared. And now, there was a small group of bandits lurking in the forest by the road, waiting for an opportunity to strike. Second in command, I heard that your level of practice has improved recently. It won't be long before you reach level 2 of Qi gathering? A knife-scarred middle-aged man sitting on a large horse smiled as he asked the young man leading the group. Like the 5 men behind him, the young man in the lead was dressed in black, with a bamboo hat on his head and a cloak woven from bamboo grass draped over his back. He seemed to blend in with the surrounding forest. Beneath him was a steed that was a head taller than the horses that the 5 people behind him were riding, and its entire body was crimson red, as if it was dyed with blood. Shockingly, it was a Fergana horse. Fergana horses could travel 1,000 miles in a day and were the finest of horses, known as the king of horses. On the market, a young Fergana horse could sell for 1,000 liang of silver. As for adult Fergana horses, they were very arrogant, and few people could tame them. Most adult Fergana horses would rather kill themselves than be tamed. I will reach level 2 of Qi gathering in 3 months. There was a strong sense of confidence on the young man's cold face, and his eyes shone with a bright light. In 3 months, second in command, you will only be 26 years old. Another well-built middle-aged bandit could not help but sigh. Reaching level 2 of Qi gathering before 30 years old in the last few decades around Qingshan town, second in command should be the first adept to reach level 2 of Qi gathering before the age of 30. In the last few decades around Qingshan town, the first adept to reach level 2 of Qi gathering before the age of 30? However, the young man shook his head when he heard his subordinate's flattery. A young man's figure appeared in his mind at the right time. Although he was a mounted bandit, most people who had seen him were already dead. Thus, he often changed his clothes and wandered around Qingshan town like an ordinary person, buying a few things and stopping by Yunxian restaurant for a meal. The delicacies at Yunxian restaurant could not be found in the wilderness outside of Qingshan town. Thus, even if he did not need to buy anything, he would go to Qingshan town once a month just to have a meal at Yunxian restaurant. A few days ago, he went to Qingshan town as usual. He would never forget that day. Outside the main entrance of the Magnolia Guild, he, who had been watching the commotion like everyone else, had seen with his own eyes a youth of only 16 years old kill the bloodthirsty butcher, Wang Yukuan, who had been famous around Qingshan town for many years. Furthermore, he had killed Wang Yukuan with a single palm. Zhou Donghuang. That day, he remembered this name. Even if he would never have anything to do with this person in this life, he would never forget this name. My talent is just a joke in front of him. The young man sighed to himself. Second in command, there's a carriage coming. Just as the young man was still thinking about the incredible scene he had seen a few days ago, a voice behind him startled him out of his reverie. He looked up and saw a carriage coming from the direction of Qingshan town in the distance, moving at a high speed. Second in command, should we make a move? Just as another person was asking the young man, on the other side of the road, a group of 10 mounted bandits galloped out, blocking the carriage and surrounding it. It's those fellows from Black Tiger Bastion. The knife-scarred middle-aged man frowned. It looks like we'll have to give them half of today's loot. Black Tiger Bastion was another bandit camp. The rules of the bandit world were that if two or more groups of bandits encountered the same prey at the same time, the final loot would be split evenly. Just then, the middle-aged driver of the carriage that had stopped was already shouting to the bandits surrounding the carriage, "Good men, the person in my carriage is the owner of Yunxian Restaurant, please do us a favor." The owner of Yunxian Restaurant? In the forest, the expressions of the 5 men behind the young man on the Fergana horse changed. It's Elder Zhao San? The owner of Yunxian Restaurant, Zhao San, was not to be trifled with, even in the eyes of the bandits around Qingshan town. It's him? However, unlike the reactions of the 5 men behind him, the young man's eyes narrowed as the figure of that youth once again appeared in his mind. A few days ago, he had made a trip to Qingshan town and found out that the owner of Yunxian Restaurant, Zhao San, had already left Qingshan town, and before he left, he had given Yunxian Restaurant to a youth named Zhou Dongwang. At first, he only knew that Zhou Dongwang was the son of Guild Master Lin Lan of the Magnolia Guild in Qingshan town. But just as he was about to leave Qingshan town, he witnessed with his own eyes the scene of Zhou Dongwang killing Wang Yukuan at the main gates of the Magnolia Guild. Elder Zhao San? The expressions of the bandits surrounding the carriage changed when they heard the driver's words. The burly man in the lead dismounted immediately and bowed to the carriage in a salute. Qian Tongtian, second in command of Black Tiger Bastion, pays his respects to Elder Zhao San. Pays his respects to Elder Zhao San. The other bandits around the carriage also dismounted and bowed to the carriage. The middle-aged man who was acting as the driver was so frightened by this that his expression changed slightly, and he took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. Qian Tongtian frowned when he saw that there was no response from within the carriage, and he spoke again. Elder Zhao San, according to the rules of the underworld, please come out and meet us. Mounted bandits who licked blood from the edge of their blades were not so easily intimidated. Just like now. If it was really Zhao San inside, they would have left tactfully after seeing him with their own eyes. Otherwise, if any random person were to impersonate Zhao San, would they have to return empty-handed? Sir. Just then, the middle-aged man who was acting as the driver said to Qian Tongtian, "Don't you know? Yunxian Restaurant changed owners a few days ago. The current owner is not Elder Zhao San, but our young master, Zhou Dongwang." Yunxian Restaurant changed owners? Qian Tongtian was taken aback, and then he laughed coldly. "Do you think Yunxian Restaurant changed owners just because you said so? Who doesn't know that Elder Zhao San has always been the owner of Yunxian Restaurant since it was first built? I would like to hear, who is your young master to be able to make Elder Zhao San give him the most profitable business in Qingshan town, Yunxian Restaurant?" At this moment, the fear in Qian Tongtian's eyes disappeared, replaced by an icy coldness. In the forest, the other group of bandits who heard the conversation between the middle-aged driver and Qian Tongtian shook their heads, except for the young man leading them. So it's not Elder Zhao San, but this driver is really naive. Does he think he can intimidate Qian Tongtian by saying this? The knife-scarred man said disdainfully. "Second in command, let's go out as well. If we're late, the meat will be eaten up by these fellows from Black Tiger Bastion." Another bandit said to the young man leading them. "It's him indeed." Hearing the words of the middle-aged driver, the young man was completely certain that the person in the carriage was the youth he had never forgotten. Second in command? The other bandits also began to urge the young man. "If you don't want to die, stay put." The young man reprimanded. "Second in command, you." The knife-scarred man and the other bandits looked confused. They could not understand why the usually decisive second-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion had suddenly become so timid today. Just watch carefully. Qian Tongtian is going to be in big trouble. The young man's eyes narrowed, and his lips curled in a cold smile. On the other side, seeing that the bandits surrounding the carriage had once again mounted their horses and were staring at him, the middle-aged driver hurriedly took out a bell and threw it into the carriage. Ding ding, 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 ding 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 ding. The bell fell to the ground, making a crisp sound. What? Throwing a bell to help your young master calm down? Qian Tongtian grinned, the saber in his hand already raised, ready to give the order for his bandits to attack at any time. Ha 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 ha! The bandits around the carriage could not help but burst into laughter when they heard Qian Tongtian's words. Zhou Donghuang had already awoken from his practice when he heard the bell. Just a little more, and I would have broken through to level 1 of Qi gathering. Unfortunately, it has been interrupted. If it had not been interrupted, I would have broken through in an hour at most. Inside the carriage, Zhou Donghuang's expression was so dark that it seemed as if it could drip water. Now that it has been interrupted, it will take at least half a day before I can break through. Whoosh! Zhou Donghuang pulled open the curtains of the carriage and walked out. Young master. The middle-aged guard driving the carriage bowed respectfully to Zhou Donghuang and continued, "These bandits do not believe that young master is the new owner of Yunxian restaurant, and I can't do anything about it, so, I understand." Zhou Donghuang nodded in understanding, but when his gaze fell to the front, he was slightly taken aback. A Fergana horse? The leader of the bandits of Black Tiger Bastion, second in command Qian Tongtian, was also a Fergana horse. "You are the new owner of Yunxian restaurant?" Seeing Zhou Donghuang come out, the smile on Qian Tongtian's face grew wider, but his eyes were full of contempt and disdain. In his opinion, he could crush this 15 or 16-year-old youth to death with a flick of his finger. "Looks like you are the leader of these bandits." Zhou Donghuang stepped down from the carriage and walked to the front, his cold gaze falling on Qian Tongtian. "Do you know, you have interrupted my practice?" Chapter 21. Did I disturb your cultivation? Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, Qian Tongtian was first stunned, then he could not help but laugh. "So what? Do you want me to play bells with you to make it up to you?" Ha 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 ha! The group of mounted gangsters around the caravan burst into laughter. Some of the mounted gangsters even laughed to the point of tearing up. "Second leader, I see that this lad has soft skin. Why don't we capture him back to the village, and give him to the first leader? The first leader not only likes women, he also likes handsome young men like this." One of the bandits laughed evilly. "All right. We'll bring him back to the Black Tiger Bastion and give him to the first leader." Qian Tongtian looked Zhou Donghuang up and down, his smile growing wider. But very quickly, his smile froze. Because Zhou Donghuang had moved. Star-stepping footwork. In a flash, Zhou Donghuang's feet moved in a strange manner, and in the blink of an eye, he was in front of Qian Tongtian's Fergana horse. That's a swiftness technique? In the forest, the young man riding the Fergana horse was shocked, and his eyes lit up. Whoosh! Zhou Donghuang stomped on the ground with his left leg, and his entire body soared into the air like an eagle. His right leg landed on the Fergana horse's head, and as the Fergana horse cried out in pain, he sped towards Qian Tongtian. Oh no! Qian Tongtian finally realized that the young man in front of him was no ordinary person. Just the speed that the young man had just displayed was enough to leave him in the dust. In the Black Tiger Bastion, even the first leader did not have such speed. "Who are you?" Qian Tongtian's expression turned serious. He could see that the young man had just used a swiftness technique, and even if it was just a lesser-grade swiftness technique, he could not afford to offend such a person. In the entire region under the jurisdiction of the prefecture capital, it seemed that only the governor's household, the Zhao family, had a lesser-grade swiftness technique. Could he be from the Zhao family? His heart skipped a beat. In order to protect himself, Qian Tongtian waved his saber with all his might, trying to force Zhou Donghuang down. Although his opponent was fast, the sharp saber in his hand gave him a lot of confidence. The person who will kill you. Faced with Qian Tongtian's sword, Zhou Donghuang neither dodged nor evaded. With a shake of his arms, he clasped his palms together and caught the back of the sword. In the next moment, Zhou Donghuang's arms spun, and his entire body spun along with the saber, causing Qian Tongtian's hand to split open and blood to spurt everywhere. At the same time, Qian Tongtian could only let go of the saber. The moment the saber left Qian Tongtian's hands, Zhou Donghuang released the saber, and his right hand shot out like lightning to grab the hilt of the saber. Buzz! In Zhou Donghuang's hands, the saber seemed to have a life of its own. It flew out of his hands and spun rapidly with terrifying force, heading straight for Qian Tongtian's throat. No! Faced with the menacing saber, Qian Tongtian had no time to dodge and could only raise his arms in a hurry to block it. Poochie! Poochie! Both his arms were severed at the wrists, and Qian Tongtian let out a shrill scream before he lost all signs of life. This was because after the saber had chopped off his arms, its momentum did not slow down at all as it swept past his throat, leaving behind a deep and fatal wound. Rumble! As the saber returned to Zhou Donghuang's hands, Qian Tongtian's corpse fell from the Fergana horse and landed heavily on the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. All of this happened in the blink of an eye, and the bandits around the carriage did not have time to react. It was only when Zhou Donghuang turned around and his cold gaze fell upon them that they came to their senses in shock, and their expressions changed. The second-in-command is dead. Run! Even the second-in-command, whose ability was close to level 2 of Qi Gathering, was dead, and the bandits of Black Tiger Bastion immediately turned into a disorderly mob, turning on their horses and fleeing in all directions. Trying to escape? However, they had not run far when the saber in Zhou Donghuang's hand shot out like lightning again, taking the lives of 3 more bandits before returning to his hand. Buzz! Buzz! Another 2 rounds, and the saber that Zhou Donghuang had thrown killed the remaining 6 bandits. By the time the last bandit died, he had only run less than 20 meters away from the carriage. Each of these bandits had their hands stained with the blood of countless innocents, and Zhou Donghuang had attacked them without hesitation or mercy. Young master, the middle-aged guard driving the carriage had a look of shock on his face, and he could not recover his wits for a long time. Although he was very confident in Zhou Donghuang, he had not expected Zhou Donghuang to be so frightening that he could kill a team of 10 bandits in the blink of an eye. After killing all the bandits, Zhou Donghuang's gaze turned without warning to the forest on the other side of the main road. After a moment, he looked away and turned his attention to the Fergana horse at his feet. In the forest, besides the young man leading the group, the 5 bandits, including the knife-scarred middle-aged man, all swallowed with difficulty, their bodies drenched in cold sweat. Second in command, could it be that he has discovered us? The knife-scarred middle-aged man asked in a trembling voice. If he has not discovered us, why is he looking over here? The young man said matter-of-factly. From beginning to end, his gaze never left the youth in the distance. After a few days, he had seen this youth again. The ability that the youth had displayed today was obviously even more frightening than the ability he had displayed that day. My God, if I had not seen it with my own eyes, I would not have believed that a youth who looks to be only 15 or 16 years old could have such ability. Another bandit said, his face full of shock. Yes, it's too frightening. The second in command of the Black Tiger Gang, Qian Tongtian, was at least a level 2 adept, but he was killed in one move. When he swept towards Qian Tongtian just now, his speed was so fast. Was that a swiftness technique? It should be. With his ability, I'm afraid he can even contend with a level 2 adept. The remaining bandits could not help but whisper among themselves, their faces and eyes filled with shock, and at the same time, they felt some lingering fear. Luckily they had not gone out. I went to Qingshan town a few days ago and saw with my own eyes. He, in one move, killed the bloody-handed butcher of the lesser Wang family of Qingshan town. Just then, the young man leading the group spoke. The bloody-handed butcher? Second in command. Are you talking about that Wang Yukuan? The knife-scarred man's eyes widened, and his breathing stagnated. He was obviously quite frightened. In Qingshan town, besides Wang Yukuan, is there a second bloody-handed butcher? The young man countered. That bloody-handed butcher was a ruthless man who fought evenly with the first in command of Green Wolf Bastion. Even he died at the hands of this youth? The other bandits were also scared silly. Now, they finally understood why the second in command of Green Wolf Bastion had stopped them from going out. Even if the entire Green Wolf Bastion came out, they might not be able to kill such a ruthless man, let alone the 6 of them. My God, he actually tamed a Fergana horse? That's a mature Fergana horse, and it's almost impossible to tame. How did he do it? At the same time, the knife-scarred man made a shocking discovery. The middle-aged driver in the distance, under the instructions of the youth, had hitched the carriage to the Fergana horse of the second-in-command of Black Tiger Bastion, Qian Tongtian. The Fergana horse did not resist at all, and was as docile as a cat. He did not know how terrifying Zhou Donghuang's previous life had been, or he would not have been so surprised. In his previous life, Zhou Donghuang had been able to tame powerful beasts that could turn a city of 10,000 people into ruins with a single breath. What was a mere Fergana horse to him? Seeing that Zhou Donghuang had returned to the carriage, the middle-aged driver also returned to the carriage and prepared to continue on their way. The young man leading the group gritted his teeth and rode the Fergana horse towards the carriage. Let's go. Second in command. Second in command, don't be rash. The 5 bandits, including the knife-scarred man, were all frightened by the young man's actions. Such a ruthless person was not someone they could handle. However, in the end, the knife-scarred man and the other bandits gritted their teeth and followed. The second in command of Green Wolf Bastion had saved every single one of their lives, and they could not bear to watch as their second in command sent himself to his death. Young master, more bandits are coming. As the 6 bandits of Green Wolf Bastion emerged from the forest, the middle-aged guard, who was just about to drive the carriage away, smiled bitterly as he greeted Zhou Donghuang, who had just entered the carriage. However, before Zhou Donghuang could respond, he saw the bandits dismount under the leadership of the young man. Second in command of Green Wolf Bastion, Freezing Wind, greets young master Donghuang. After Freezing Wind dismounted, he bowed respectfully towards the carriage. Greetings, young master Donghuang. Seeing that the second in command of Green Wolf Bastion had no intention of attacking, the knife-scarred man and the other 4 bandits breathed a sigh of relief and bowed towards the carriage. What's the matter? Zhou Donghuang's languid voice came from within the carriage. Young master Donghuang, are you preparing to go to Ningping town? Freezing Wind asked respectfully. Zhou Donghuang responded mildly. Young master Donghuang, there's still a long way to go from here to Ningping town, and it's hard to avoid encountering people who don't know their place. For the rest of the journey, let me and my brothers lead the way for you. How about that? Freezing Wind said respectfully. I, Freezing Wind, have some reputation along the way. If the bandits on the road see me, they will definitely not dare to cause trouble. And if we encounter some savage beasts, I can also help young master Donghuang deal with them. In that case, young master Donghuang can also practice in peace. After Leng Hanfeng finished speaking, he glanced at the carriage anxiously. Inside the carriage, it had to be said that Freezing Wind's words had moved Zhou Donghuang. We'll do as you say when we reach Ningping town. I will not mistreat you. Young master Donghuang, I, Freezing Wind, am doing this not because I want anything in return, but because I admire young master's abilities, and I admire young master as a person. Freezing Wind said in a low voice, a look of displeasure flashing across his eyes. Second in command. The knife-scarred man and the other 4 bandits' expressions changed, deeply afraid that Freezing Wind had offended the savage youth in the carriage. This second-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion is rather interesting. Inside the carriage, hearing the displeasure in Freezing Wind's tone, Zhou Donghuang's lips curled up slightly in a smile. When we reach Ningping town, after you see what I have for you, you can consider whether to reject my good intentions. Zhou Donghuang spoke again. Chapter 22. Even when pulling a carriage, the Fergana horse was extremely fast, much faster than an ordinary carriage. With this Fergana horse pulling the carriage to Ningping town, we should be able to reach it by tomorrow morning at the latest. Zhou Donghuang had set off at noon yesterday. Now, it was noon on the 24th of December, 1227 of the Ziyun era. The journey that was supposed to take them until noon on the 26th day of the 12th month of the year 1227 of the Ziyun era was now able to reach Ningping town early in the morning on the 25th day of the 12th month of the year 1227 of the Ziyun era thanks to the Fergana horse. Before passing through the forest behind, Zhou Donghuang's carriage had been traveling alone on the main road. But now there were 6 mounted bandits escorting him on tall horses. The leader of the bandits was a young man riding a Fergana horse. He looked so majestic that some of the bandits hiding along the road shrank back in fear. It's the second-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion, Freezing Wind. Many bandits recognized Freezing Wind, who was leading the way. The one sitting in the carriage, could it be the first-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion? It should be. Besides the first-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion, who else could make Freezing Wind personally lead the way for him? I don't recognize the 4 people on either side of the carriage, but I have some impression of the middle-aged man with a knife scar on his face at the back of the carriage. It's Yu Hengkuan of Green Wolf Bastion. Yu Hengkuan? The 3rd most powerful man of Green Wolf Bastion? The one whose ability is second only to the first-in-command and second-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion? That's him. I heard that the first-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion had long intended to appoint Yu Hengkuan as the third-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion, but Yu Hengkuan was grateful for Freezing Wind's saving grace and was willing to serve Freezing Wind at his beck and call instead of being the third-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion. Now, Zhou Donghuang was focused on practicing in the carriage, and did not know that many bandits on the road outside had mistaken him for the first-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion. And along the way, with the second-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion, Freezing Wind at the head of the bandits escorting them, it was indeed very peaceful. Occasionally, some ferocious wild beasts came forward, but Freezing Wind did not even have to lift a finger for the other bandits to kill them. The team of bandits led by Freezing Wind were all level 1 adepts of Qi gathering, and they were the team with the most elites in Green Wolf Bastion. Although there were only 6 of them, they were no weaker than the 10 bandits from Black Tiger Bastion who had died at Zhou Donghuang's hands. I finally broke through. As night fell, Zhou Donghuang, who was in the carriage, opened his eyes, and a smile appeared on his face. He had finally attained level 1 of Qi gathering. Now, with just his true Qi, he could explode with the strength of an ox. Coupled with his extreme muscular strength that allowed him to exert 1,000 jin of force, he would be able to kill an average level 2 adept with a single blow without using any martial arts. Continue. After attaining level 1 of Qi gathering, Zhou Donghuang consumed another bottle of Qi gathering elixir and continued practicing the Lord of the Four Supremes. He cultivated all the way until the next morning before he woke up from his cultivation. At this time, they had arrived at their destination, Ningping town. Young master, Ningping town is just ahead. The middle-aged guard driving the carriage said to Zhou Donghuang as the carriage came to a halt. At the same time, the second-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion, Freezing Wind, led the other 5 bandits to stand to one side and saluted the carriage. Young Master Donghuang, we did not disappoint you. In the future, if young Master Donghuang thinks highly of me, I would like to go to Yunxian restaurant to have a drink with you. As he spoke, Freezing Wind prepared to leave with his bandits. Whoosh! Just as Freezing Wind turned his horse around, a gust of wind came from within the carriage, and accompanying the gust of wind was a bundle of oiled paper that flew towards Freezing Wind. Freezing Wind instinctively caught it, then frowned at the carriage and asked in a low voice, "Young Master Dong Huang, do you really look down on me, Freezing Wind? There is a swiftness technique recorded inside. You should have seen it before when I killed the second-in-command of Black Tiger Bastion, Qian Tongtian. I used this swiftness technique." Zhou Donghuang's voice came from within the carriage. Swiftness technique? Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, not only Freezing Wind, but the 5 bandits behind him also narrowed their eyes. Swiftness techniques, even the worst lesser-grade swiftness techniques, were only available to the governor's household of the prefecture capital, the Zhao family, in the vast territory under the jurisdiction of the prefecture capital. And now they had only escorted the person in the carriage for less than a day and a night, and he had actually given them a swiftness technique? Really? This was the first thought that came to their minds, but as soon as it arose they suppressed it. With the ability of the person in the carriage, there was no need for him to lie to them. Does young Master Donghuang think that, after knowing that this is a swiftness technique, I will be grateful and accept it? Freezing Wind shook his head after the initial shock, his gaze firm. Young Master Donghuang, I, Freezing Wind, have said before that I escorted you to Ningping Town only because I admire your ability and respect you, and not because I want anything in return. You had better keep this swiftness technique for yourself. As soon as he finished speaking, Freezing Wind threw the swiftness technique in his hand towards the window of the carriage under the reluctant gazes of the 5 bandits behind him, without any hesitation. However, just as it touched the window curtains, it was repelled by a force and returned to Freezing Wind's hand. You are really surprising. Inside the carriage, Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed with surprise. That is a swiftness technique, and you actually said you did not want it. But I, Zhou Donghuang, do not like to owe people favors. You had better accept it. Don't you want me to think highly of you? Accept it, and I will think highly of you. At the same time, Yunxian Restaurant will always welcome you. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Donghuang turned to the middle-aged guard driving the carriage and said, Uncle He, let's enter the town. Yes, young master. The middle-aged guard flicked the reins lightly, and the Fergana horse immediately pulled the carriage towards the main gate of Ningping Town, pulling away from Freezing Wind and the others. Freezing Wind held the swiftness technique in his hand as he looked at the retreating figure of the carriage, a bitter smile on his face. Since Zhou Donghuang had said so, he had no choice but to accept it. Second in command, quick, take a look, is it really a swiftness technique? One of the bandits urged with a gleam in his eyes. The other bandits, including the knife-scarred middle-aged man, Yu Hengkuan, all looked at Freezing Wind with a gleam in their eyes. Hearing this, Freezing Wind unrolled the oiled paper in his hand with a face full of excitement and curiosity, and took a look at it. Yu Hengkuan and the others waited quietly. After about a dozen breaths, Freezing Wind's expression changed, and his fingers moved quickly, tearing the oiled paper into countless pieces. A gust of wind blew past, and the pieces flew into the air. Even if he wanted to piece them back together, it would be impossible. Second in command, what are you doing? Could it be that the swiftness technique is fake? Apart from Yu Hengkuan, the other 4 bandits looked at Freezing Wind with doubt and suspicion in their eyes. It's fake. Freezing Wind said with a dark expression, I never thought that the owner of Yunxian Restaurant would like to toy with others. As soon as he finished speaking, Freezing Wind glanced at Yu Hengkuan. The latter immediately understood and added, no matter how strong he is only a 15 or 16-year-old boy. It's normal for him to be a little childish. Come to think of it, a swiftness technique is so precious, how could it be given away so casually? Yu Hengkuan's words made the other 4 bandits nod, and the suspicion in their eyes dissipated. But they still had some doubts. The second in command of Green Wolf Bastion, Freezing Wind, had a photographic memory. This was no secret in Green Wolf Bastion. If it really was a swiftness technique, A dozen breaths' time would be enough for the second-in-command to remember it completely. But the four bandits thought for a while and felt that the owner of Yunxian restaurant was indeed toying with them, because the second-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion was not the kind of person who would ignore his brothers and take a swiftness technique for himself. Let's go back. Freezing Wind gave the order and led them back to Green Wolf Bastion. On the way back, Freezing Wind could not hide the shock, horror, and disbelief in the depths of his eyes. Back at Green Wolf Bastion, seeing that the other four had returned to their own quarters, Freezing Wind called Yu Hunkuan over. Second in command, that swiftness technique, it shouldn't be fake, right? Yu Hunkuan asked in a low voice. It definitely isn't fake. Freezing Wind smiled bitterly. Since it isn't fake, why did you lie to your brothers that it was fake? Having Freezing Wind's confirmation, Yu Hunkuan's eyes were full of confusion. He knew this second-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion, and he was not the kind of person who would take a swiftness technique for himself. Knife Scar, I lied to them for their own good. The bitter smile on Freezing Wind's face deepened. Yu Hunkuan was even more confused. Do you know what kind of swiftness technique that young Master Donghuang gave me? Freezing Wind took a deep breath. Isn't it the lesser-grade swiftness technique that he used when he killed the second-in-command of Black Tiger Bastion, Qian Tongtian? Yu Hunkuan asked. It is that swiftness technique, no doubt. Freezing Wind nodded, and then said with some difficulty, but it is not a lesser-grade swiftness technique, but a third-grade swiftness technique. Third-grade swiftness technique? As Freezing Wind finished speaking, Yu Hunkuan was shocked silly, as if he had been struck by lightning, and he was completely stunned. Now, you should understand why I said, I lied to them for their own good? Freezing Wind smiled bitterly. Second in command, you've put a lot of thought into this. After a moment, Yu Hunkuan recovered his wits, and his face was full of bitterness. Third-grade swiftness technique. It was easy to imagine that if such a swiftness technique were to be exposed, the entire Black Tiger Bastion would be doomed. That new owner of Yunxian restaurant, who is he? It's said that only the imperial family and the king's household possess third-grade technique. Not only does he have them, he even casually gives them away? Chapter 23. When they reached Ningping town, Zhou Donghuang ordered the middle-aged guard driving the carriage to go directly to the Qingyun Guild. The chairwoman of the Qingyun Guild was also a woman, a collateral descendant of the Li family of the prefecture capital. Her name was Li Yun, and she had been good friends with Lin Lan for many years. Aunt Yun, since the goods and the money have been paid, I should take my leave. In the drawing room of the Qingyun Guild, Zhou Donghuang said to Li Yun after collecting the payment. In his memory, Li Yun had been to the Magnolia Guild a few times, and she had brought him gifts each time, so he had a very good impression of her. Donghuang, it's rare for you to visit. Stay at Aunt Yun's for the night before you leave, and let Aunt Yun take good care of you. Li Yun said with a smile. She and Lin Lan had been good friends for many years, and they had always referred to each other as sisters. She had never treated Lin Lan's adopted son as an outsider. Aunt Yun, don't bother, I'm in a hurry to get back. Zhou Donghuang shook his head. He had no intention of spending the night in Ningping town. Now, Granny Lian was the only level 1 adept in Yunxian restaurant. His mother, Lin Lan, had already lost all her qi and was beginning to practice the technique of everlasting youth again, and she no longer had her previous ability. He would not be at ease if he returned too late. Then let's have lunch together, it's almost noon now. Donghuang, don't tell me you're not even willing to have a meal with Aunt Yun? Li Yun settled for the next best thing. Or, Donghuang, now that you've become the owner of Yunxian restaurant, you look down on Aunt Yun? Aunt Yun, you already know? Zhou Donghuang was a little surprised. He had not imagined that Li Yun would even know that he had become the owner of Yunxian restaurant. How could I not know? 2 days ago, I heard from someone from Qingshan town that the owner of Yunxian restaurant, Zhao San, had given Yunxian restaurant to you, Donghuang. Li Yun sighed. Yesterday, I also heard from someone from Qingshan town that, Dong Wang, you first killed the second elder of the Lesser Wang family, a level 1 lesser family, with a single blow, and then killed the grand patriarch of the Wang family, Wang Yukuan, known as the bloody-handed butcher, with a single blow. I didn't quite believe it at first. But today, Dong Wang, you alone delivered 10 gold bracelets safely. Even if I don't believe you, I'm afraid I can't. Li Yun's eyes flickered with wisdom as she spoke. On the way from Qingshan town to Ningping town, there were many horse bandits. Most people did not carry any valuables. After being searched and confirmed, they only needed to pay a toll to pass. As long as they cooperated and did not resist, the mounted bandits would not kill indiscriminately. This was because they were also worried that if they killed too many people, no one would dare to walk out of the town. Killing the goose that lays the golden eggs was not a long-term solution. The fact that Zhou Donghuang could successfully bring 10 gold bracelets to Ningping town was a testament to his ability. Since Aunt Yun has kindly invited me, I won't refuse. Seeing Li Yun looking at him expectantly, and thinking that it would not take much time to have lunch, Zhou Donghuang agreed. All right. Donghuang, wait here for a while. Aunt Yun will send someone to make arrangements. Seeing that Zhou Donghuang had agreed, Li Yun beamed and bade Zhou Donghuang farewell before leaving the hall to make arrangements. About 15 minutes later, Li Yun returned to the hall. Beside her was a young girl who looked about the same age as Zhou Donghuang. The girl was wearing a light blue dress and had a pretty face. Her eyebrows were somewhat similar to Li Yun's. She stood there slender and elegant, but at this moment her eyebrows were slightly furrowed, as if she was unwilling to appear here. Li Rui. Zhou Donghuang recognized the young girl. It was Li Yun's daughter, Li Rui, who was a year younger than him. They had played together when they were young, but they had not seen each other in recent years. This is your brother Donghuang. Why aren't you greeting him? Li Yun frowned at Li Rui. Mother, he's only a year older than me. I can just call him by his name, right? Li Rui said unhappily. Just as Li Yun's expression changed and she was about to fly into a rage, Zhou Donghuang smiled and said, Aunt Yun, it's just a title. Even I don't mind, why should you? As he spoke, Zhou Donghuang looked at Li Rui and greeted her with a smile. Xiao Rui, long time no see. Is Xiao Rui someone you can casually call? Call me Li Rui. Li Rui snorted with displeasure. She naturally remembered Zhou Donghuang. He was the son of her mother's good friend, Lin Lan, and also a martial invalid who could not practice qi. Although her mother had said that Zhou Donghuang was different now, she did not believe it at all. She only thought that the recent rumors about Zhou Donghuang were groundless and not true. How could a martial invalid become the owner of Yunxian Restaurant, the most profitable business in Qingshan town? How could a martial invalid kill the old patriarch of the Wang family of Qingshan town, Wang Yukuan? Moreover, in her opinion, even if Zhou Donghuang was not a martial invalid, the 16-year-old Zhou Donghuang could not possibly have the ability to kill Wang Yukuan. Wang Yukuan was a level 2 adept of qi gathering. In the country of Yunyang, a 16-year-old youth who had the ability to kill him was as rare as a phoenix feather or a unicorn horn. Such a person could not possibly be from this small town. Li Rui. Although Zhou Donghuang would not be calculative with a little girl, Li Rui's rudeness caused the smile on his face to disappear instantly, and his tone became much colder. Seeing this, Li Yun sighed. She had originally intended to let her daughter and this adopted son of her good friend Lin Lan get along well, to see if there was any possibility of further development. But now it seemed that this was clearly not possible. Donghuang, let's go. Li Yun sent someone to book a private room at a restaurant in Ningping town, and as she led Zhou Donghuang and Li Rui out, she found a carriage parked at the entrance of the Qingyun Guild. An ordinary carriage would not have attracted Li Yun's attention. However, the horse in front of the carriage was a Fergana horse. A carriage drawn by a Fergana horse. Even in the prefecture capital, few people would be so extravagant. A Fergana horse? Seeing the carriage drawn by the Fergana horse, Li Rue was shocked and could not help but ask Li Yun, "Mother, whose carriage is this?" Just as Li Yun was about to shake her head and say, "I don't know," the middle-aged driver had already jumped down from the carriage and bowed respectfully to Zhou Dongwang. "Young master." Zhou Dongwang nodded lightly and looked at Li Yun. "Aunt Yun, let's take my carriage. After dinner, I will send you back, and then we will return directly to Qingshan town." Okay. Only then did Li Yun realize that this was Zhou Dongwang's carriage. After the carriage set off, Li Rue, who was sitting beside Li Yun, frowned and said to Zhou Dongwang, "Zhou Dongwang, using a Fergana horse to draw a carriage, you are wasting such a treasure." Wasting such a treasure? Zhou Dongwang was stunned at first, but then he smiled lightly. A Fergana horse was a treasure in the eyes of ordinary people, but in Zhou Dongwang's eyes, it was no different from an ordinary horse. Moreover, to be able to draw a carriage for Zhou Dongwang, this Fergana horse was a blessing that had been accumulated over several lifetimes. Seeing that Zhou Dongwang seemed unwilling to acknowledge her, Li Rue became angry. "After passing the assessment of the Li family in the prefecture capital, I will be entering the Li family in a few days to practice, but I did not ask my mother to buy me a Fergana horse. That is because I know that she has a hard time earning money, and I cannot bear to spend too much of her money. But you, a martial invalid, not only let your mother use her hard-earned money to buy you a Fergana horse, but you also let a Fergana horse draw a carriage for you. How can you face your mother? It seems like there is a difference between a biological one and an adopted one." As she spoke, Li Rue gave Zhou Dongwang a look of disgust. Li Yun's expression changed, and she slapped Li Rue hard in front of Zhou Dongwang. "Apologize to Dongwang immediately." "Mother, you hit me? Did I say something wrong?" Li Rue's eyes widened as she looked at Li Yun in disbelief. This was the first time in her life that her mother had hit her. What she did not know was that Li Yun had hit her not because of Zhou Dongwang, but to protect her. The Zhou Dongwang now was not someone that anyone could afford to offend. You are very sensible." Zhou Dongwang glanced at Li Rue and nodded seriously. "However, I hope you can be clear about one thing. I did not ask my mother to buy this Fergana horse, and it was not my mother who bought it for me. If it was not your mother who bought it, where did you get so much money to buy a Fergana horse?" Li Rue asked disdainfully, her attention drawn to Zhou Dongwang's words. "This Fergana horse was the spoil of war that I obtained after killing the second-in-command of Black Tiger Bastion, Qian Tongtian," Zhou Dongwang said calmly. Hearing Zhou Dongwang's words, Li Yun's eyes narrowed. She naturally knew about Black Tiger Bastion. It was a powerful bandit camp that lay dormant between Qingshan town and Ningping town. The first-in-command of Black Tiger Bastion was a level 2 adept of Qi gathering, and the second-in-command of Black Tiger Bastion, Qian Tongtian, was also a level 2 adept of Qi gathering. Qian Tongtian was killed by Zhou Dongwang? Li Yun's heart trembled. "Don't brag without a draft," Li Rue sneered. "It is said that the second-in-command of Black Tiger Bastion, Qian Tongtian, is expected to break through to level 2 of Qi gathering in the next few years. In the whole of Qingshan town, there are only a handful of people who can kill such a person. You are a martial invalid. What right do you have to kill him?" "Miss, my young master really killed the second-in-command of Black Tiger Bastion, Qian Tongtian. I saw it with my own eyes. And this Fergana horse was originally Qian Tongtian's, and it was tamed by my young master to pull his carriage." The middle-aged guard driving the carriage could not bear to hear this and defended Zhou Dongwang. "He is your young master, and even if he brags to the heavens, you will still help him cover up his lies," Li Rue said disdainfully. "From what you say, this mature Fergana horse was just tamed by your young master yesterday." Chapter 24. Zhou Dongwang could not be bothered to argue with Li Rui's ignorance. If it weren't for Li Yun, he would have already slapped Li Rui to shut her up. Throughout the meal, Li Rui spoke quite a bit, but seeing that Zhou Dongwang was engrossed in eating the dishes on the table and had no intention of responding to her, she gradually stopped speaking. However, her gaze towards Zhou Dongwang was full of disdain, thinking that Zhou Dongwang did not respond to her because he felt guilty. Aunt Yun, thank you for your hospitality. After lunch, they left the restaurant and sent Li Yun and her mother to the entrance of the Qingyun Guild. Zhou Dongwang thanked Li Yun and returned to the carriage. Seeing the carriage disappear into the distance, Li Yun sighed. Mother, why are you sighing? He's just a martial invalid, there's no need for us to interact too much with him. Li Rui said. You're wrong. Zhou Dongwang is a dragon among men, you'll regret missing out on him. Li Yun shook her head with a bitter smile. I'll regret it? Impossible. Li Rui said disdainfully. Even Chun Dandan doesn't want a man, Li Rui, naturally won't want him. The person I want to marry has to be at least the eldest son of a preeminent family in the prefecture capital, or else wouldn't I lose to Chun Dandan. Zhou Dongwang, a martial invalid, is not worthy of me. The carriage pulled by the Fergana horse swaggered through the streets of Ningping town. As expected, it attracted the attention of passers-by because the Fergana horse was too conspicuous. However, the middle-aged man driving the carriage pulled by the Fergana horse was already used to it. This was because he had already experienced a similar scene when he entered Ningping town that morning. Young master, the daughter of Guild Master Li Yun of the Qingyun Guild is too short-sighted. Why didn't you show her your power and shut her up? The middle-aged guard could not help but ask Zhou Dongwang as they drove the carriage out of Ningping town. Even he could not bear to listen to what Li Rui had said to Zhou Dongwang. Uncle He, a kitten meows in front of a tiger, and the tiger not only did not bite it, but did not even look at it. Do you know why? Zhou Dongwang smiled faintly. Without waiting for the middle-aged guard to reply, he had already said, because the tiger does not care about the kitten at all, and does not even care about it. Young master, now that you mention it, I understand. The middle-aged guard suddenly came to a realization. At the same time, he couldn't help but sigh at his young master's high cultivation level. If it were him, he definitely wouldn't be able to keep his composure. Uncle He, as usual. If there's anything, throw the bell in. Usually, I don't wake up on my own. After greeting the middle-aged guard, Zhou Dongwang sat cross-legged in the carriage and continued to practice the Lord of the Four Supremes. After that, the journey back was calm and peaceful. No one came forward to cause trouble. And the reason for this was that the Fergana horse carriage that Zhou Dongwang sat in was too conspicuous, and the bandits hidden along the road thought that it was the carriage of the leader of the Green Wolf Bastion. Between Qingshan Town and Ningping Town, there were only 2 horse bandit camps that could compare to Green Wolf Bastion. The other bandit camps were far weaker than the Green Wolf Bastion. Because of this, no one dared to provoke the Fergana horse carriage that most likely belonged to the leader of Green Wolf Bastion. Occasionally, 1 or 2 wild beasts would come forward, but they were all repelled or killed by the middle-aged guard driving the carriage. On the afternoon of the 25th of the 12th month, 1227 of the Ziyun era, Zhou Dongwang left Ningping town in his carriage and returned to Qingshan town. On the afternoon of the 26th of the 12th month, 1227 of the Ziyun era, he arrived at Qingshan town and returned to Yunxian restaurant. The round trip had taken only 3 days and 3 nights. If Zhou Dongwang had not switched to a Fergana horse to pull the carriage, he would have only just arrived at Ningping town. Young master, you're back so soon? Granny Lian was stunned to see Zhou Dongwang at the door. She had clearly not expected him to return so soon. Zhou Dongwang nodded as he handed over the money he had received from the Qingyun Guild in Ningping town to Granny Lian. Someone gave me a Fergana horse on the way, and I let it pull the carriage, so the journey did not take too long. A Fergana horse. Granny Lien was about to ask who would be so generous, but Zhou Dongwang had already turned to leave. However, that night, Granny Lien heard from some of the guards what had happened to Zhou Dongwang on the way to Ningping town. I heard from old He that when our young master went to Ningping town this time, he encountered a group of 10 bandits led by the second-in-command of Black Tiger Bastion, Qian Tongtian. In just one encounter, he snatched Qian Tongtian's saber and killed him. Then he threw the saber 3 times and killed the remaining 9 bandits. Young master could even kill the bloody-handed butcher of the Wang family in one encounter. Qian Tongtian's ability was weaker than the bloody-handed butcher, so it is not surprising that he was killed by young master. However, I never thought that young master could throw a saber to kill. Isn't this too exaggerated? Is old He exaggerating? Old He is famous for his honesty. I have known him for many years, and I know him well. He would never lie. Granny Lien could never have imagined that the Fergana horse that her young master had mentioned was actually a trophy from killing the second-in-command of Black Tiger Bastion, Qian Tongtian. Young master, he can even tame a mature Fergana horse? Even though Granny Lien knew that her young master was very resourceful, she could not help but be shocked when she heard this. She even thought again, in this world, was there anything that her young master couldn't do? On the other side, passing by Lin Lan's room, Zhou Dongwang realized that she was practicing behind closed doors, but he did not disturb her and went straight to his room. The seal in my body was broken on the morning of the 15th day of the 12th month of the 12th month of the year 1997 in the Ziyun era. It was also at that time that I began practicing. When I attained level 1 of Qi gathering, the night of the 24th day of the 12th month of the year 1997, in the Ziyun era, had just fallen. That is to say, in less than 10 days, I attained level 1 of Qi gathering. Sitting on the bed, Zhou Dongwang murmured to himself, that's still within expectations. Moving from level 1 to level 2 of Qi gathering will take a longer time, probably about 20 days. Fortunately, Zhou Dongwang's words were not heard by anyone else, or they would have been infuriated. Advancing from level 1 of Qi gathering to level 2 of Qi gathering would only take about 20 days, and he was complaining that it was taking too long? The people of the country of Yunyang generally began practicing at the age of 11 or 12. It was not that they did not want to start practicing earlier, but they could only start practicing after their bodies had begun to develop. Some people who practiced before they had fully developed not only made slow progress but also affected their development, resulting in incurable illnesses. It was said that in the country of Yunyang, there was a miraculous elixir that could allow one to begin practicing from the age of 3 or 4 after consuming it. Furthermore, it would not affect the body. However, such a miraculous elixir had never appeared in the country of Yunyang, and to the people of the country of Yunyang, it was only an illusory legend. In the history of the country of Yunyang, the person who set the record for the fastest practice began practicing at the age of 11, attained level 1 of Qi gathering at the age of 13, level 2 of Qi gathering at the age of 14, level 3 of Qi gathering at the age of 16, and level 4 of Qi gathering at the age of 20. From nothing to level 1 of Qi gathering, he spent 2 years. From level 1 of Qi gathering to level 2 of Qi gathering, he spent only a year. This was also because he had already familiarized himself with practicing, unlike when he had to slowly fumble and get used to level 1 of Qi gathering, thus wasting a lot of unnecessary time. For an ordinary person, when they first started practicing, even with the guidance of practice, they would still take some detours. After all, practice was only theory, and there was still a certain degree of difficulty in putting it into practice. However, Zhou Dongwang was different. With 1,000 years of memories from his previous life, he was like a fish in water on the road of practice, and because of this, his rate of practice was extremely fast. Looks like I still have to find someone to make a trip to the county city to help me buy some medicinal ingredients. If I have a Fergana horse to travel to the county city, even if I take a short break on the way, a round trip would at most take 2 days and 2 nights. When Lin Lan had first gone to the Lin family in the prefecture capital and returned, it had taken her 7 days and 7 nights, but that was because she had only used an ordinary horse. The speed of a Fergana horse was incomparable to that of an ordinary horse. As long as I have the herbs from the prefecture capital, I can formulate an even better qi-gathering elixir, and there is hope that I can successfully attain level 2 of qi-gathering in half a month. Although Zhou Dongwang could make a trip to the prefecture capital to buy the herbs himself, he did not intend to do so, because if he went personally it would be a waste of time. Galloping on a horse to the prefecture capital, there would be no way for him to practice on the way. 2 days and 2 nights is enough for me to raise my level of practice, but if I want to find someone to go to the prefecture capital to buy the herbs, who should I look for? Zhou Dongwang thought for a moment and his eyes lit up. The Qin family was one of the 3 great lesser families of Qingshan town. The Qin family mansion occupied a large area, and it was not inferior to the Wang family mansion. In the past, Zhou Dongwang had been led by Qin Xiaoyu to the Qin family mansion a few times, but the scene then was completely different from now. Now, as soon as he reached the main entrance of the Qin family mansion, the Qin juniors guarding the gate saw him and immediately rushed in to report to the patriarch of the Qin family, Qin Long. The patriarch of the Qin family, Qin Long, also rushed out to personally welcome Zhou Dongwang. "Young Master Dongwang, are you here for Xiaoyu?" It was no secret in the Qin family that Zhou Dongwang and Qin Xiaoyu were on good terms. Because of this, after Zhou Dongwang had killed the former patriarch of the Wang family, Wang Yukuan, Qin Xiaoyu's status in the Qin family had skyrocketed. Now, even the first young master of the Qin family, Qin Fei, did not dare to pester Qin Xiaoyu like before, for fear of offending Zhou Dongwang. "I'm not here for Xiaoyu this time." Chapter 25. Young Master Dongwang, you were looking for me? Knowing that Zhou Dongwang was looking for him, Qin Yi hurriedly put down what he was doing and rushed to the Qin family's drawing room. Qin Yi was the previous patriarch of the Qin family and the only level 2 adept in the Qin family. In Qingshan town, he was as famous as Wang Yukuan, and his ability was comparable to Wang Yukuan's. However, in front of Zhou Dongwang, who had killed Wang Yukuan with a single blow, Qin Yi, the big shot of Qingshan town, did not dare to put on airs at all. His posture was extremely humble. "Yes." Zhou Dongwang nodded lightly. "I have come this time to seek the help of old Patriarch Qin. Young Master Dongwang, please speak your mind. As long as I, Qin Yi, can do it, I will definitely help you do it properly." Qin Yi made a solemn vow. Looking at his posture, it seemed like he would not hesitate to go through fire and water for Zhou Dongwang. "I would like to invite old Patriarch Qin to ride a Fergana horse and rush to the county city at the fastest speed to buy some medicinal ingredients for me." As Zhou Dongwang spoke, he took out a piece of paper filled with the names of herbs. "Of course, you don't have to buy all of them, just buy as much as you can. Just a small matter." Without any hesitation, Qin Yi reached out to take the paper and vowed, "Young Master Dongwang, within 2 days, I will definitely bring back the herbs you need. Of course, I won't let you help for free." Zhou Dongwang took out a roll of paper from his sleeve and handed it to Qin Yi. "Young Master Dongwang, you don't have to stand on ceremony with me. It is my honor to be able to work for you." This time, Qin Yi did not reach out to take the paper from Zhou Dongwang. In his view, what could be more valuable than a favor from this young Master Dongwang? If he accepted this, wouldn't his favor with young Master Dongwang be gone? Zhou Dongwang, only 16 years old, had killed Wang Yukuan with a single blow. Wang Yukuan's strength was not inferior to his. In fact, if they were to engage in a life-and-death battle, he might not even be a match for Wang Yukuan. Yet, such a person was killed by the young man before him with a single palm strike. He knew very well what this meant. 16 years old and already so terrifying. If Zhou Donghuang could grow up successfully in the future, let alone Qingshan town, even the prefecture capital, the royal city, or even the entire country of Yunyang, would not be able to contain him. If he, and even the Qin clan, could form a relationship with such a person, it would only be beneficial to them. Old Patriarch Qin, this is a martial art technique. Zhou Donghuang smiled and said, "Are you sure you want to represent the Qin family and give up on this technique? Martial arts moves." Zhou Donghuang's words reached Qin Yi's ears. Although his voice was soft, Qin Yi was stunned. His eyes narrowed, and a fanatical look appeared on his face. In the next moment, without any hesitation, Qin Yi reached out with lightning speed and took the scroll from Zhou Donghuang. He opened it and read it. A moment later, his pupils contracted sharply, and his hand trembled in fright. The paper almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, he reacted in time and caught it. Weighted sand palm. Third grade offensive martial art. Qin Yi had originally thought that the technique that Zhou Donghuang had passed to him was a lesser grade technique. Even so, if the Qin family could obtain it, it would be a great opportunity. But now, looking at the words written on the paper that Zhou Donghuang had passed to him, he realized this was not a lesser grade technique, but a third grade technique. In the country of Yunyang, only the royal family and the imperial family had third grade techniques. Who is this young Master Donghuang? He gave me the Qin family's third grade technique just because I helped him run errands for 2 days? Qin Yi had lived for more than 60 years, and this was the first time he had been so impatient. If a lesser grade technique was something that he could only dream of, then this third grade technique was something that he did not even dare to dream of. Young Master Donghuang, you'd better take it back. Qin Yi smiled bitterly as he handed the piece of paper with the third grade offensive technique, weighted sand palm, back to Zhou Donghuang. But Zhou Donghuang did not extend his hand to take it. Chief Qin, I'm giving the Qin family this technique not only as a reward, but also in the hope that the Qin family can give me a promise. In the future, you must treat Xiaoyu well and not force her to do anything she does not want to do. The Qin family was a lesser family. Most of the time, the women of the Qin family did not have the right to decide their own marriage. Sooner or later, he would have to leave Qingshan town, so before he left, he hoped to make arrangements for his little sister, Qin Xiaoyu. Young Master Donghuang, even if you do not give the Qin family this technique, the Qin family will not mistreat Xiaoyu and force her to do anything she does not want to do on this, you can rest assured, Qin Yi said solemnly. Qin Yi said solemnly, you'd better take back this martial art. The Qin family can't afford it. Even if Zhou Donghuang dared to give a third grade technique, Qin Yi would not dare accept it. It could be imagined that once the news that the Qin family possessed a third grade technique got out, the Qin family would be in deep trouble. Not to mention the preeminent families, even the more powerful grand families and tycoon families would be tempted by a third grade technique, and would even resort to unscrupulous means to obtain it. Cannot accept it? Zhou Donghuang did not understand at first, but as Qin Yi spoke, he suddenly understood, because he had not thought so much before. He had only felt that by giving the Qin family a third grade technique, he was giving the Qin family an opportunity, so that the Qin family would treat Qin Xiaoyu well in the future. That is to say, you dare not accept a third grade technique, but if it is a lesser grade technique, you dare to accept it? Zhou Donghuang raised his eyebrows and continued muttering, however, I really do not have any lesser grade techniques. A third grade technique is already the worst technique I have. Zhou Donghuang's voice was not soft, and Qin Yi heard it as well, causing Qin Yi to tremble in fear. From what this young Master Donghuang was saying, he had a technique that was even better than a third grade technique. A technique that is better than a third grade technique is a second grade technique. In our country of Yunyang, it seems that only the imperial family has a second-grade technique, right? Qin Yi was so frightened that his breathing quickened, and his chest rose and fell like a bellows, unable to calm down for a long time. Forget it, since you want a lesser-grade technique. Then I will modify this weighted sand palm and weaken its power to the level of a lesser-grade technique. Zhou Dongwang took the piece of paper from Qin Yi's hands and asked for a pen from Qin Yi, then began scribbling on the paper. After about 15 minutes, Zhou Dongwang passed the paper back to Qin Yi. Done. Now, even if you practice this technique to the extreme, it will only be able to unleash the power of a lesser-grade technique. Now you can rest assured, right? Zhou Dongwang looked at Qin Yi. Qin Yi received the paper with trembling hands, and as he looked at the palm technique that had been scribbled on it, his heart filled with shock. Originally, he had not believed that Zhou Dongwang could modify the technique himself. This was because people who had the ability to modify techniques could usually create their own technique. In the history of Yunyang country, there had never been such a nature-defying person, had there? Now, as he looked at the words on the paper, it was not difficult for Qin Yi's eyes to discern. This was indeed a lesser-grade palm technique. You can pay for the herbs first. As for the Fergana horse, your Wang family should have it, so I will not lend it to you. While Qin Yi was still in shock, Zhou Dongwang had already walked out of the Qin family drawing room, and his voice could be heard from afar. When Qin Yi regained his senses, Zhou Dongwang had already disappeared. This young Master Dongwang, who is he? Qin Yi's eyes were filled with seriousness. Although he had lived for more than 60 years, he felt that he could not understand this 16-year-old youth at all. Taking a deep breath, Qin Yi carefully put away the lesser-grade palm technique in his hand and went directly to his son, the current chief of the Qin family, Qin Long. These few days, send out invitations, just say that I, Qin Yi, will be hosting a banquet in 10 days' time and will accept Qin Xiaoyu as my adopted daughter. Qin Yi's expression was serious as he said to Qin Long, send 2 invitations to Yunxian restaurant, one for Zhou Dongwang and one for Lin Lan. Father, why do you suddenly want to accept Xiaoyu as your adopted daughter? Qin Long felt that this was a little exaggerated. Even if Zhou Dongwang and Qin Xiaoyu were on good terms, was there a need for this? Once his father accepted Qin Xiaoyu as his adopted daughter, then Qin Xiaoyu would become his adopted sister, and even his son Qin Fei would have to address her as little aunt. Take a look at this. Qin Yi took out a piece of paper and carefully handed it to Qin Long. It was the piece of paper that Zhou Dongwang had altered. This is, at first, Qin Long did not think much of it, but when he finished reading the words on the paper, his expression changed drastically. A martial arts technique? To be precise, this is a martial arts technique that Zhou Dongwang has given to the Qin family. Qin Yi said, now, do you understand my decision? Father, I will do it right away. Qin Long took a deep breath and tried hard to suppress the excitement in his heart. After handing the paper back to Qin Yi, he left hurriedly. He naturally knew what a martial arts technique meant to the Qin family. To the Qin family, this was a great opportunity. Not long after Qin Long left, Qin Yi rode out of the Qin family on his Fergana horse and left Qingshan town for the prefecture capital. On the other side, Zhou Dongwang, who had returned to his room in the courtyard behind Yunxian restaurant, shook his head lightly. I had forgotten that in the country of Yunyang, a third-grade technique is enough to cause a bloodbath. I gave the third-grade swiftness technique, star-stepping footwork, to the second-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion, Freezing Wind. It looks like I was not helping him, but harming him. I can only hope that he will be smart and keep a low profile. Zhou Dongwang thought to himself. This time, with Qin Yi hurrying to the prefecture capital to buy the herbs, I will definitely be able to obtain those herbs in the shortest time possible. This way, I will be able to formulate a better qi-gathering elixir as quickly as possible. Before he began to practice, a look of anticipation flashed across Zhou Donghuang's eyes. Traveling from Qingshan town to the prefecture capital was actually far safer than traveling from Qingshan town to a small town like Ningping town. There were official roads between the prefecture capital and the various small towns, and there would often be strong practitioners of the governor's household patrolling the official roads in disguise. Ordinary bandits would not dare to take the risk of robbing passers-by on the official road. However, there would definitely be many bold bandits who would take the risk if they traveled on Fergana horses. In order to avoid unnecessary complications, Zhou Donghuang had thought of letting the level 2 adept of the Qin family help him make a trip to the prefecture capital to buy the herbs he needed. Chapter 26. Early morning, December 27th, 1227 of the Ziyun era. Zhou Donghuang was having breakfast with Lin Lan in the dining room when Granny Lian suddenly rushed in from outside. She was holding 2 invitations in her hands. "Miss, these are invitations personally sent by the patriarch of the Qin family, Qin Long. He says they are for you and young master." Granny Lian placed the invitations on the dining table and left. Invitations? Lin Lan was taken aback. Did something good happen in the Qin family recently? A moment later, Lin Lan opened the invitation and had a look of astonishment. "This? The old master of the Qin family wants to adopt little Yu as his daughter? Isn't this too much?" In Lin Lan's opinion, the patriarch of the Qin family, Qin Yi, was already in his 60s, and Qin Xiaoyu was only 11. Even Qin Yi's grandson was much older than Qin Xiaoyu. And now, Qin Yi wanted to adopt Qin Xiaoyu? Zhou Donghuang was also taken aback by Lin Lan's words. He immediately picked up the other invitation and shook his head with a smile. That patriarch of the Qin family is really particular. However, he was still very satisfied with Qin Yi's actions. At least, in the future, as long as the Qin family did not fall, Qin Xiaoyu would have no worries for the rest of her life. Although Qin Xiaoyu was not his biological sister, he had long regarded her as his own after a few years together. "Donghuang, is it because of you?" Lin Lan could easily guess the reason for Qin Yi's actions. "But even if the Qin family is afraid of you and does not dare to neglect Xiaoyu, it shouldn't be this exaggerated, right? What if I had given a lesser-grade palm technique to the Qin family?" Zhou Donghuang countered. Lin Lan suddenly understood. No wonder, as for why Zhou Donghuang had given the technique to the Qin family, she did not ask, because she knew that her son must have his reasons for doing so. "Mother, how has your practice been recently?" Zhou Donghuang asked Lin Lan. Although he knew that Lin Lan had been concentrating on practicing these days, he did not know her progress. "Donghuang, the technique you gave Mother is amazing. While taking the qi-gathering elixir that you formulated and practicing that technique, my practice has improved rapidly." Hearing Zhou Donghuang mention her practice, Lin Lan's eyebrows danced, and she was in high spirits. In less than a month, Mother is confident of returning to level 1 of qi-gathering. Although Lin Lan's talent was worlds apart from Zhou Donghuang's. However, Lin Lan was originally a level 1 adept of qi-gathering, and even though she had lost all her qi and had to start all over again, the meridians in her body that had long since expanded had not shrunk. Now all she had to do was refill her meridians with qi, and she would be able to regain her level 1 of qi-gathering. Therefore, she was able to regain level 1 of qi-gathering very quickly. "Mother, when you don't have time to cultivate, you can try to master these 2 martial arts." Zhou Donghuang passed 2 pieces of paper to Lin Lan. Recorded on them were the 3rd-grade techniques, star-stepping footwork and weighted sand palm. The 2 martial arts techniques that he had given to the second-in-command of Black Tiger Bastion, Freezing Wind, and the Qin family had actually been written down by Zhou Donghuang for Lin Lan, but because Lin Lan had been training behind closed doors, he had not had the chance to give them to her. He had just woken up this morning and written out these 2 copies. Martial arts. Lin Lan's eyes lit up, and she hurriedly reached out to take the 2 pieces of paper from Zhou Donghuang. As she opened one of them, her eyes narrowed. Weighted sand palm. This is a third-grade technique? Lin Lan looked away from the paper in her hands with some difficulty and raised her head to look at Zhou Donghuang, her face full of disbelief. The other, star-stepping footwork, is also a third-grade technique. Zhou Donghuang smiled. Third-grade swiftness technique? Looking at the star-stepping footwork recorded on the other piece of paper, Lin Lan was so shocked that she was completely numb. In the country of Yunyang, it was said that only the royal family and the imperial family had third-grade techniques, but her son had not only casually produced them, he had produced two at once. In this period of time, Zhou Donghuang had given Lin Lan too many shocks, so this time, Lin Lan recovered very quickly. After hurriedly finishing her meal, Lin Lan bade Zhou Donghuang farewell and left the dining hall to practice the martial arts she had just obtained in the backyard. To Zhou Donghuang, third-grade techniques were the lowest level of martial arts in the 1,000 years of memory from his previous life, and they were no different from rubbish. But to Lin Lan they were priceless treasures. After finishing his breakfast alone, Zhou Donghuang also returned to his room to practice. What surprised him was that the Qin family's grand patriarch, Qin Yi, came looking for him at noon the next day. He was travel-worn, and there were obvious dark circles around his eyes. "Young Master Donghuang, I only bought 2/3 of the herbs you wanted. I went to all the medicine shops in the prefecture capital, but they were all out of stock," Qin Yi said somewhat guiltily. "Grand Patriarch Qin, you don't have to blame yourself. This is already much better than I imagined. Go back and rest first. I'll go to the Qin family to settle the bill for these herbs with you another day." Zhou Donghuang smiled as he looked at Qin Yi, and his gaze became friendlier. In less than 2 days and 2 nights, Qin Yi had returned from the prefecture capital. Even with the Fergana horse, it was impossible for him to have any time to rest on the road. It was obvious that Qin Yi had not rested during the entire journey. Even a level 2 adept would be under a lot of pressure after 2 nights without rest, and Zhou Donghuang could not help but be moved by Qin Yi's actions. "Young Master Donghuang, these herbs were given to you by the Qin family. If you talk about money, don't blame me for falling out." Seeing Zhou Donghuang mention money, Qin Yi's expression turned ugly. "Compared to what young Master Donghuang has given the Qin family, what is this little bit of stuff?" "All right, as Grand Patriarch Qin will do. Grand Patriarch Qin, quickly go back and rest." Now, Zhou Donghuang also hoped that Qin Yi would quickly go back and rest, and was no longer obsessed with the money that Qin Yi had used to buy the herbs. In the future, he would find another way to repay Qin Yi's favor. After Qin Yi left, Zhou Donghuang muttered to himself, "In another 8 days, it will be the day that Qin Yi takes Xiao Yu as his adopted daughter. When that time comes, I'll give him and the Qin family a martial art technique. I'll modify the star-stepping footwork and make it an uninitiated swiftness technique for him." Very quickly, Zhou Donghuang came to a decision. Whether it was in his previous life or now, the last thing he wanted to owe was a favor. Just like those old acquaintances who had helped Zhou Donghuang on Earth in his previous life, he had already returned the favor in this life. He did not go to Earth, and those people were destined to no longer help him, but he still intended to return to Earth to help them solve their problems. A small favor should be returned with a spring. This was Zhou Donghuang's basic philosophy. The 31st day of the 12th month of the year 1227 of the Ziyun era was the last day of the year 1227 of the Ziyun era. On this day, the Li family of the prefecture capital was not at peace. "Second young master, you must avenge me." The middle-aged junior of the Li family of the prefecture capital, whose limbs had been maimed by Zhou Donghuang, was finally sent back to the Li family of the prefecture capital by someone whom Zhou Donghuang had instructed the chief steward of Yunxian restaurant, Fu, to find. The Li family of the prefecture capital was a preeminent family, and the lesser families of small towns could not compare to it. In the lesser families of small towns, the most powerful person was usually a level 2 adept of qi gathering. In the preeminent families, Level 2 adepts of Qi gathering were as common as the hairs on a cow. In the lesser families of small towns, Level 1 adepts of Qi gathering could be made an exception and promoted to elder, but in the preeminent families, only Level 3 adepts of Qi gathering could be made an exception and promoted to elder. This was the difference between a lesser family and a preeminent family. Of course, this was not the most important thing. The most important thing was, a preeminent family needed at least a Level 4 adept of Qi gathering to hold down the fort. A family without a Level 4 adept would not be recognized as a preeminent family. No matter how many Level 3 adepts the family had, as long as they did not have a Level 4 adept, they would still be considered a lesser family. Of course, such lesser families usually only existed in the prefecture capital, because they did not want to stay in small towns. Who did it? A plain-looking young man in embroidered robes asked calmly with a slight frown as he looked at the middle-aged man on the stretcher. He was the second young master of the Li family of the prefecture capital, Li Pingyun, the only son of the patriarch of the Li family, and the heir to the position of patriarch of the Li family. If nothing unexpected happened, he would be the future patriarch of the Li family. It's the new owner of Yunxian Restaurant in Qingshan Town, Zhou Donghuang. I followed your orders to buy Yunxian Restaurant from him, and not only did he say that you were delusional, he even crippled my arms and legs. The middle-aged man's expression was savage, and his eyes were filled with hatred as he said in a low voice. He said to spare my life, and let me tell you, second young master, if you dare have designs on his Yunxian Restaurant again, you will end up like me. With his arms and legs crippled, his life was doomed. The only thought the middle-aged man had now was to add fuel to the fire and infuriate the second young master of the Li family, so that he could find someone to kill Zhou Donghuang and avenge him. Of course, what he said was not entirely a lie. At least, Zhou Donghuang was indeed unwilling to sell Yunxian Restaurant to the second young master of the Li family. Isn't he a martial invalid? You, a Level 2 adept of Qi gathering, were crippled by him? Are you joking? Although Li Pingyun's tone remained calm, deep in his eyes, the flames of anger were already burning fiercely and uncontrollably. A lad from a small town dared to say that he would cripple Li Pingyun's arms and legs? Besides, Li Pingyun did not believe that a 16-year-old youth could cripple the middle-aged man before him. Although this middle-aged man was only a collateral descendant of the Li family, he was still a Level 2 adept of Qi gathering. If he remembered correctly, the strongest person in Qingshan Town was only a Level 2 adept of Qi gathering. Second young master, I originally thought that he was a martial invalid, but only when he attacked did I realize that he was not a martial invalid, but an adept stronger than me. The middle-aged man still had some lingering fear at the mention of Zhou Donghuang's ability. Even if he has not attained Level 3 of Qi gathering, I'm afraid he is close to it. Chapter 27. According to you, that Zhou Donghuang, a 16-year-old youth, is already a Level 2 adept of Qi gathering? Li Pingyun glanced coldly at the middle-aged man. Even among the younger generation of the prefecture capital, the two fastest people to attain Level 2 of Qi gathering did so at the age of 18. Now, you're telling me that Qingshan Town has a 16-year-old Level 2 adept of Qi gathering? Obviously, Li Pingyun did not believe the middle-aged man's words. Young master, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it either. A tiny town like Qingshan Town could have a 16-year-old Level 2 adept, but that Zhou Donghuang's ability is indeed above mine. Seeing that Li Pingyun did not believe him, the middle-aged man panicked. I fought him head-on, and I was no match for him. Enough. Li Pingyun glanced impatiently at the middle-aged man and said to the two Li family juniors beside him, "Take him back to his residence." These two Li family juniors were the ones who had carried the middle-aged man here. The middle-aged man's limbs were all crippled, and he could only lie on a stretcher and be carried away. Yes, second young master. The two Li family disciples received the order, and lifted the stretcher that the middle-aged man was lying on and quickly walked out of the room. Second young master, if you still want to buy that Yunxian restaurant, you must send a level 3 elder to Qingshan town. Otherwise, he will definitely not be a match for Zhou Dongwang. The middle-aged man was still loudly reminding Li Pingyun as he was carried away. After the middle-aged man had been carried out, Li Pingyun smiled disdainfully. This good-for-nothing, does he really think I'll believe him? A 16-year-old youth from a small town, a level 2 adept of qi gathering? If there really is such a person, then I, Li Pingyun, have lived these 20 years in vain? Li Pingyun, the son of the patriarch of the Li family of the prefecture capital, was a leader of the younger generation of the Li family. He was 20 years old now, and had attained level 2 of qi gathering a year ago. However, to be able to cripple Li Dong to such an extent, it means that Zhou Dongwang does indeed have an adept of decent ability by his side, at least, someone stronger than Li Dong. But it is impossible for him to be a level 3 adept. After all, if he had a level 3 adept by his side, even on account of that adept, the Lin family of the prefecture capital would not have punished his mother, Lin Lan, over an outdated formula for a blood-staunching elixir. It had to be said that Li Pingyun was very meticulous, and he had indeed guessed correctly. There were no level 3 adepts at Zhou Donghuang's side. Tomorrow morning, we'll set off for Qingshan town. I want to see if that Zhou Donghuang dares to reject me, Li Pingyun. A cold light flashed in Li Pingyun's eyes as he muttered in a low voice. If he dares to refuse, I'll make him regret it for the rest of his life. Qingshan town. Yunxian restaurant. 3 young masters, don't you think it's inappropriate for you to do this? The innkeeper, Ah Fu, walked out of the restaurant and looked at the 3 young men in the lead of the 4 people blocking the entrance with an ugly expression on his face. The 3 young men were dressed lavishly and had fair skin, and one could tell at a glance that they were the sons of a wealthy family. Behind one of the young men was a middle-aged man. The middle-aged man was well-built, with the back of a tiger and the waist of a bear, and a sword at his waist. As he stood there, he exuded a murderous aura that deterred anyone from approaching him. Bang! Just as Ah Fu stepped out and spoke, one of the young men in blue took 2 steps forward and landed a kick on Ah Fu's chest, sending him flying and crashing heavily into the doorpost at the side of the restaurant's main entrance. Wah! Ah Fu's body brushed against the doorpost as he fell to the ground, and he spat out a mouthful of blood, his face pale and bloodless. But he gritted his teeth and stood up again. 3 young masters, how do you expect Yunxian restaurant to do business by doing this? He did not know where these 3 young men had come from, but they had chased out all the customers of Yunxian restaurant the moment they arrived. Then, they had blocked the main entrance of Yunxian restaurant, not allowing anyone to enter or leave. The 2 guards that the owner of Yunxian restaurant, Zhou Donghuang, had stationed in the restaurant, who were close to level 1 of qi gathering, had barely made a move when they were knocked down with a single punch by the middle-aged man behind the 3 young men, and they had completely lost the ability to fight. I hope the 3 young masters will not make a big deal out of this. The owner of Yunxian restaurant has a bad temper. Ah Fu said in a low voice. Ah Fu wasn't bluffing at all. The new owner of Yunxian restaurant, Zhou Donghuang, had made a name for himself by killing the level 2 adept of the Wang family, Wang Yukuan, and then he had killed the original chief steward of Yunxian restaurant, Li Xian. Later, he had maimed a man from the Li family of the prefecture capital who claimed to be a level 2 adept of qi gathering. Putting all these together, it was not difficult to see that the owner of Yunxian restaurant had a bad temper. Your owner has a bad temper? The young man in green looked down at Ah Fu condescendingly and grinned. I heard that the owner of Yunxian restaurant, Zhou Donghuang, was only 16 years old when he killed Wang Yukuan, a level 2 adept of qi gathering from the lesser Wang family of Qingshan town. Moreover, everyone in Qingshan town believes that he has the ability to kill a level 2 adept of qi gathering. As the young man in green spoke, a hint of disdain appeared at the corner of his mouth. 16 years old, killing a level 2 adept of chi gathering? Whoever believes that would be a fool. Especially when some people say that they saw it with their own eyes. In my opinion, they must have received a lot of money from the owner of Yunxian restaurant. A look of contempt flashed across the eyes of the last young man in yellow. Does he think that by paying people to say this everywhere, he can scare people and protect Yunxian restaurant? I have to say, he is very naive. I'll give you a chance, someone, summon the owner of Yunxian restaurant, Zhou Dongwang. The young man in blue who had sent Ah Fu flying with a kick said with a cold smile. Who are they? I don't know. Looking at their demeanor, they are obviously not ordinary people. Even the young masters of the 3 great lesser families of Qingshan Town are not as impressive as them. They must be outsiders. They actually don't believe that young Master Dong Wang of Yunxian restaurant killed Wang Yukuan? They actually think that we were paid to help young Master Dong Wang brag? Outside the main entrance of Yunxian restaurant, many people had gathered to watch. And just as the young man in blue ordered the staff of Yunxian restaurant to summon Zhou Dongwang, there was a sudden commotion in the crowd. Many people unconsciously turned their heads. With just a glance, they saw a handsome youth dressed in snow-white robes with a hint of immaturity. His expression was calm as he walked slowly toward Yunxian restaurant from afar. Young Master Dongwang! Young Master Dongwang! The crowd parted to make a path and bowed respectfully to the youth. Boss! Ah Fu dragged his heavily injured body and gritted his teeth as he stepped forward to greet Zhou Dongwang. When he reached Zhou Dongwang, Ah Fu lowered his head in shame, like a child who had done something wrong. Boss, I am useless, I did not manage Yunxian restaurant for you. Boss, please find someone else to take my place. I, Ah Fu, am not fit to be the chief steward of Yunxian restaurant. Who injured you? Seeing Ah Fu injured to this extent, Zhou Dongwang's expression did not change as he asked calmly. Ah Fu did not react. I asked you who injured you? Zhou Dongwang asked again. Before Ah Fu could speak, the young man in blue who had struck Ah Fu had already looked at Zhou Dongwang and said, You are the boss of Yunxian restaurant, Zhou Dongwang? I was the one who injured him. Why? You still want to avenge him? As he said this, the young man in blue's mouth turned up in a cold smile as he looked at Zhou Dongwang with disdain and disdain. Which leg? Zhou Dongwang only glanced lightly at the young man in blue before looking back at Ah Fu. This time, Ah Fu had already reacted. Hearing Zhou Dongwang's words, he subconsciously glanced at the young man in blue's right leg. And just as Ah Fu's gaze was fixed on the young man's right leg, without any warning, Zhou Dongwang moved. Whoosh! Zhou Dongwang's figure flashed like a bolt of white lightning, flashing before the eyes of the crowd and heading straight for the young man in blue. Stop! The middle-aged man standing behind the young man in blue was the first to react. His expression changed as he drew the curved sword at his waist. Crack! 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 Almost as soon as the middle-aged man drew his sword, the crisp sound of bones breaking rang out, followed by a scream. Ah! The scream was so shrill that the onlookers felt their scalps go numb just hearing it. It was hard to imagine how much pain it must have been to cause such a shrill scream. Just then, the onlookers who had regained their composure saw. The young man in blue had already fallen to the ground, and half of his calf had been stepped on by Zhou Dongwang. The young man's calf was almost parallel to the ground, and he had been crushed into a meat patty. After a series of screams, the young man in blue finally fainted from the pain. Half of his calf has been crushed. Even a superior-level medicine master would not be able to cure his leg, would he? Even a legendary Earth-level medicine master, or even a Heaven-level medicine master, would not be able to get him to stand up again, much less a superior-level medicine master. This young Master Dong Wang of Yunxian Restaurant is too scary. I feel that no one who dares to provoke him is unscathed. However, he treats those around him very well. This time, He was only acting so viciously because he wanted to stand up for Chief Steward Fu of Yunxian Restaurant. Just looking at the calf of the young man in blue, which had been crushed into a meat patty, the onlookers could not help but feel their scalps go numb. Boss. After Fu recovered from his shock, he looked at Zhou Donghuang with a gaze full of determination. It was also at this moment. In Fu's heart, this boss, Zhou Donghuang, had become more important than his own life. Chapter 28. You dared to cripple Ma Jin. Do you know who he is? When the young man in yellow looked at Zhou Donghuang again, his eyes were filled with fear. Zhou Donghuang's speed had been too fast, so fast that he could not keep up with it. Could it be the story of Zhou Donghuang killing a level 2 adept is true? Seeing Zhou Donghuang cripple Ma Jin, a level 1 adept, in the blink of an eye, if he still could not tell that Zhou Donghuang's ability was not simple, then he would have lived in vain for more than 20 years. Ma Jin is the first young master of the Ma family, one of the elite lesser families of the prefecture capital. You crippled him, and the Ma family will not let you off. The young man in green looked at Zhou Donghuang with a dark expression, his eyes filled with fear and wariness. Zhou Donghuang's ability was beyond his wildest imagination. At this moment, he realized, the rumors in Qingshan town about the new owner of Yunxian Restaurant, Zhou Donghuang, were not groundless. Zhou Donghuang's ability was at least level 2 of qi gathering. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to be so fast, and even more impossible for him to cripple Ma Jin so cleanly. So fast! What a powerful force! As the saying goes, amateurs enjoy the show, while experts appreciate the artistry. Although the middle-aged man behind the young man in green had unsheathed the scimitar at his waist, he did not make a move. Even the palm of his hand holding the scimitar was covered in cold sweat. Although he was a level 2 adept, he knew that his speed was no match for the youth in white before him, and his strength was no match for the youth in white before him. The youth in white's speed was obvious. As for his strength, he had crushed Ma Jin's calf into a meat patty with 1 foot. Although he could do the same, he knew that he would not be able to do it so cleanly. Because of this, he was certain that his opponent's ability was above his own. That was why he did not make a move. If he charged forward knowing that his opponent was strong, wouldn't that be asking for a beating? Is he really only 16 years old? Looking at the youth in white standing not far away, the middle-aged man's eyes were filled with shock and disbelief. The Ma family of the prefecture capital? As the young man in yellow and the young man in green spoke, Zhou Donghuang did not react, but the crowd of onlookers from Qingshan town was shocked. This youth who was crippled by young Master Donghuang is actually from the Ma family of the prefecture capital? And he's the young master of the Ma family? The Ma family is no ordinary lesser family, and the 3 lesser families of Qingshan town cannot compare to them. I heard that the Ma family has 4 level 3 adepts of qi gathering alone. As for level 2 adepts, there are more than 20 of them. The Ma family is an outstanding family among the lesser families. Young Master Donghuang has crippled the first young master of the Ma family and is in big trouble. Many of the onlookers knew of the Ma family of the prefecture capital, and as they spoke, they broke out in cold sweat for Zhou Donghuang. Hearing the whispers and discussions of the crowd, both the yellow-robed young man and the green-robed young man subconsciously raised their heads, appearing incomparably arrogant. I, Fong Tianyi, am the 3rd young master of the Fong family of the prefecture capital. The yellow-robed young man looked at Zhou Donghuang and said proudly, My Fong family of the prefecture capital has 3 level 3 adepts of qi gathering and more than 20 level 2 adepts. The 3 lesser families of Qingshan town are like ants in the eyes of my Fong family. As he spoke, he looked at the young man in green. As for this, he is the first young master of the Lu family of the prefecture capital, Lu Yuan. The Lu family of the prefecture capital has 5 level 3 adepts of qi gathering and more than 30 level 2 adepts. As the yellow-robed young man spoke, many onlookers from Qingshan town could not help but gasp. They had never imagined that the 3 youths blocking the entrance of Yunxian restaurant would be so powerful. They were all from the elite lesser families of the prefecture capital. I originally thought that a 16-year-old youth like you would not have the ability to kill a level 2 adept, but now it looks like we underestimated you. Lu Yuan looked at Zhou Donghuang and said in a low voice, Zhou Donghuang, if you know what's good for you, hand over the title deed to Yunxian restaurant. If that's the case, I can assure you that the Ma family will only kill you for crippling Ma Jin, and they will not implicate anyone close to you. If you do not know what's good for you and are unwilling to hand over the title deed to Yunxian restaurant, not only you, but everyone close to you will also be killed. It's not just your family. Even the staff of Yunxian restaurant will not survive. As he spoke, a cold smile appeared on the corner of Lu Yuan's mouth. The faces of the waiters and servant girls of Yunxian restaurant changed drastically when they heard Lu Yuan's words, and they thought to themselves that if the boss did not hand over the title deed to Yunxian restaurant, they would leave Yunxian restaurant. Although the boss of Yunxian restaurant was very powerful, the 3 lesser families of the prefecture capital were even more powerful. They did not think that the boss of Yunxian restaurant could defeat the 3 lesser families of the prefecture capital. Although the salary of Yunxian restaurant was high, compared to one's life, the latter was more important. So the 3 lesser families of the prefecture capital have come for the title deed to Yunxian restaurant. They have come all the way from the prefecture capital, and it is clear that they have already determined that Elder Zhao San will not interfere in the future ownership of Yunxian restaurant. Young Master Donghuang, there's trouble. It would have been fine if young Master Donghuang had not crippled the first young master of the Ma family. As long as he had handed over the title deed, he would have been safe, but now that he has crippled the first young master of the Ma family, things are no longer that simple. Even if he is willing to hand over the title deed, the Ma family will not let him off. The crowd of onlookers once again whispered among themselves, shaking their heads one after another. They looked at Zhou Donghuang again, their gazes filled with sympathy, pity, and most of all pity. A prodigy of martial arts who could kill a level 2 adept at the age of 16, if he could mature in the future, would certainly become a major figure in the country of Yunyang. But now it was clear that he would not have the chance to mature. Just 3 lesser families, how impressive! Zhou Donghuang smiled faintly and looked deeply into Lu Yuan's eyes. However, if you want the title deed to Yunxian restaurant, I'm afraid you'll have to come and get it yourself. As soon as Zhou Donghuang said this, the expressions of everyone in Yunxian restaurant, with the exception of Fu, changed drastically. They knew that the boss of Yunxian restaurant had chosen not to hand over the title deed in the end. Zhou Donghuang, although you are powerful in the eyes of our 3 families, you are nothing now. You and the people around you will have to wait patiently to welcome the best of our 3 families. Fang Tianyi laughed coldly and looked at Lu Yuan. Lu Yuan, let's take Ma Jin and leave now. Since he wants the people around him to die with him, let's fulfill his wish. Uncle Gang, take Ma Jin, let's go. Lu Yuan called out to the middle-aged man behind him, and the latter responded by walking towards Ma Jin, who was still being stepped on by Zhou Donghuang. Did I say you could leave? However, before the middle-aged man, Lu Gang, could reach Ma Jin's side, Zhou Donghuang spoke again. Although his expression was as calm as before, and his tone was as indifferent as before, a cold light flashed in the depths of Zhou Donghuang's eyes. Coming and going as you please. Do you think this is a game? The people before him were obviously here for the title deed to Yunxian restaurant. If he was not as powerful as them, the title deed to Yunxian restaurant would definitely have been snatched away by them, and he would not have a good ending. Zhou Donghuang, you have to think this through. If you dare to attack us, you will completely offend the Fang and Lu families. Fang Tianyi's expression changed. He could tell from Zhou Donghuang's words that Zhou Donghuang wanted to attack them. Lu Yuan's expression changed as well. Zhou Donghuang, although you are powerful, there are many people in the Lu family who can deal with you. Lu Gang said to Zhou Dongwang with a dark expression. Including you? Zhou Dongwang's lips curled in a mocking smile. Do you think I'm afraid of you? After all, Lu Gang was a level 2 adept of qi gathering, and with his weapon in hand, he was full of confidence. As he glared at Zhou Dongwang, the curved sword in his hand flashed, and the blade flashed with a cold, sharp light. If you don't die in one blow, I'll let them leave in one piece. Zhou Dongwang grinned, infuriating Lu Gang so much that his face turned red. His figure flickered again, his feet moving quickly. Star-stepping footwork. Zhou Dongwang was so fast that all the people around him could see was a white figure. Lu Gang only reacted when he had covered half the distance between him and Lu Gang, and the curved sword in his hand whistled through the air, the light of the sword shining brightly in the sunlight. 1. It had to be said that Lu Gang was an expert with the sword, and the moment he attacked, the curved sword in his hand blocked Zhou Dongwang's path. Unless Zhou Dongwang slowed down, he would have no choice but to meet the sword head-on. But could a body of flesh and blood clash head-on with a sharp weapon like a sword? Obviously not. Just when everyone thought that Zhou Dongwang would choose to retreat in the face of Lu Gang's sword, Zhou Dongwang showed no signs of slowing down. It was as if he was offering himself up to be slaughtered by Lu Gang. Courting death. Seeing this, Lu Yuan and Fang Tian laughed coldly, and they could not help but heave a sigh of relief. Judging from Lu Gang's reaction just now, they had both thought that Lu Gang was no match for Zhou Dongwang. But now it seemed that Zhou Dongwang was no match for Lu Gang. Boss! Fu's expression changed. Courting death. Just as Lu Yuan's curved sword was about to strike Zhou Dongwang, thinking that Zhou Dongwang would die by his sword. Whoosh! Zhou Dongwang moved like lightning, his palm slapping the blade of the curved sword in Lu Yuan's hand. Child's play. Seeing this, Lu Gang snorted disdainfully, and the curved sword in his hand turned sideways, returning the blade to Zhou Dongwang's palm. Your ability is not bad, but your experience is too lacking when you enter the gates of hell. Remember, the person who will kill you is Lu Gang of the Lu family. It had to be said that Lu Gang's mastery of the sword was indeed very high to be able to change the direction of the blade in his hand so quickly under such circumstances. Whoosh! Zhou Dongwang's palm met the sharp blade in Lu Yuan's hand, and he had no time to dodge. Chapter 29. It's over. A palm of flesh against a sharp blade. Everyone present thought that Zhou Dongwang's palm would be chopped off by Lu Gang's knife in the next moment. You're not bad at using a knife, but you're still too young to cut off my hand. Just as many of the onlookers were worried for Zhou Dongwang smiled calmly. The moment his palm touched the knife, he bent his thumb and pressed his other 4 fingers together, gripping the blade. The piercing stone finger was a third-grade technique that focused qi on each finger, allowing it to easily penetrate hard rock. If the qi was strong enough, it could even penetrate metal like steel or iron. Now, Zhou Dongwang was using this technique. The qi in his 5 fingers was as strong as steel, and he pinched the blade in Lu Gang's hand. Although the blade was only half an inch away from his palm, it could not move any further and could not touch him at all. Roar! Lu Gang's face was red, and he let out a beast-like roar. All the qi in his body was focused on his hand, trying to break free from Zhou Dongwang's grip, but he found that no matter how hard he tried, the knife in his hand would not budge. What a terrifying strength! At this moment, Lu Gang's heart trembled. He was deeply aware of how terrifying the youth in front of him was, and he was not his match at all. Come here. As Zhou Dongwang spoke calmly, he suddenly pulled back the knife in his hand, pulling Lu Gang, who was holding the knife in a death grip, in front of him. In a flash, Zhou Dongwang released his hand, allowing the knife to pass by his side and Lu Gang to be pulled towards him by the force he had exerted. Weighted sand palm. Zhou Dongwang's hand had already straightened into a palm the moment he released the knife, and as Lu Gang's body flew towards him, it whistled through the air. Bang! Zhou Dongwang struck out with his palm, landing squarely on Lu Gang's defenseless chest. It was as if a thick iron pillar had landed heavily on it, and with a loud bang, Lu Gang's chest caved in instantly. Whoosh! The moment his chest caved in, Lu Gang's entire body stopped breathing, but he was still sent flying 3 meters by the force of Zhou Donghuang's palm and landed heavily on the ground. Clang! Even in death, Lu Gang did not let go of the scimitar in his hand. The scimitar fell heavily to the ground with him. From the moment Lu Gang changed the blade to the point where Zhou Donghuang grabbed the blade and pulled Lu Gang over, killing him with a single palm strike, the entire process happened in the blink of an eye, so fast that no one could react. By the time the crowd outside Yunxian restaurant came to their senses, Lu Gang had already died at Zhou Donghuang's hands. How is this possible? Whether it was Lu Yuan or Fang Tianyi, the sneers on their faces had completely frozen. Their eyes were filled with terror and shock. Lu Gang, a level 2 adept with a weapon in his hand. But he had still died at the hands of this 16-year-old Zhou Donghuang? If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have believed that a 16-year-old youth could possess such strength. The person that young Master Donghuang killed called himself Lu Gang of the Lu family? Lu Gang? The level 2 adept from the lesser Lu family of the prefecture capital who is called Mad Blade? This Lu Gang is said to have killed a level 2 bandit leader in 10 breaths, and it was after that battle that he was called Mad Blade. Mad Blade Lu Gang had a scimitar in his hand, but he was still killed by young Master Donghuang in one move? Young Master Donghuang's strength is too frightening? It looks like even if young Master Donghuang is not a level 3 adept, I'm afraid there aren't many level 2 adepts who are a match for him. As many of the onlookers of Qingshan town recognized Lu Gang, there was an uproar among the onlookers as they marveled at Zhou Donghuang's strength. Young Master Donghuang is only 16 years old. Even if the Ziyun era begins tomorrow, he will still only be 17. It's a pity that he has completely offended the elite lesser families of the prefecture capital, the Ma and Lu families. Otherwise, when he grows up, even if the Ma and Lu families turn out in full force, they won't be enough for him to kill. Heaven is jealous of the talented. The more outstanding Zhou Donghuang's performance, the more the people of Qingshan town felt pity for him. Boss. Seeing Zhou Donghuang kill Lu Gang, Fu's eyes shone with excitement. The waiters and servant girls in Yunxian restaurant, as well as some of the chefs who had come out upon hearing the commotion, all had ugly expressions on their faces. At the same time, Zhou Donghuang's calm, emotionless gaze fell upon Lu Yuan and Fang Tianyi, and without warning, he grinned, revealing 2 rows of snow-white teeth. As I said earlier, if he can survive a single blow from me, I will let you leave in one piece. It's a pity that he is too useless. Zhou Donghuang's tone was calm as he spoke unhurriedly. Zhou Donghuang. Fang Tianyi was so frightened that his expression changed, and he instinctively took a step back. If you dare touch me, the Fang family will not let you off. Zhou Donghuang, if you let me go now, I guarantee that the Lu family will not make trouble for you, Lu Yuan said in a low voice. Of course, to Lu Yuan, this was only a temporary measure. When he returned to the family, he would definitely get his father to send a strong warrior with him to Qingshan town to kill Zhou Donghuang and take over Yunxian restaurant. You can leave if you want to, just like him, leave one leg behind. Zhou Donghuang turned his head to glance at the still unconscious Ma Jin as he said plainly, everyone has to pay the price for what they have done. From the moment you thought of robbing my Yunxian restaurant, you should have been mentally prepared. I have no time to waste with you here. In 10 breaths' time, if you have not made your move, I will send you to accompany Lu Gang. Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed with murderous intent, and his voice was cold and determined. As soon as he said this, the expressions on Fang Tianyi and Lu Yuan's faces changed completely. Zhou Donghuang, if you let me go, not only can I guarantee that the Fang family will not make trouble for you, I can also ask my father to spare your life in front of the Ma family. Fang Tianyi was so frightened that his expression changed, and he hurriedly stated his terms of self-preservation. He did not doubt that Zhou Donghuang would dare to attack him. After all, Ma Jin had been crippled by Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang, do you really want to offend the three great lesser families? Lu Yuan asked coldly as he stared at Zhou Donghuang. Between Lu Yuan and Fang Tianyi, one playing the good cop and the other playing the good cop, they could only hope that Zhou Donghuang would stop here. At this moment, they both regretted coming to Qingshan town to take over Yunxian restaurant before they had fully investigated Zhou Donghuang's background. You still have 5 breaths time. Zhou Donghuang's tone did not change as he spoke calmly. Seeing Zhou Donghuang's stance, both Lu Yuan and Fang Tianyi could see that Zhou Donghuang would not compromise, and their expressions turned ugly. Zhou Donghuang, you're on your own. Lu Yuan glared angrily at Zhou Donghuang as he ran to the side of Lu Gang's body and removed the knife from his hand. Taking a deep breath, Lu Yuan's body trembled for a while before he closed his eyes and swung the knife downward. After letting out a shrill scream, Lu Yuan fainted. You still have 3 breaths time. Zhou Donghuang looked meaningfully at Fang Tianyi. Immediately, Fang Tianyi walked to Lu Yuan's side with a pale face and picked up the knife with a trembling hand. It was only when Zhou Donghuang said that he only had 1 breath's time that he resolutely swung the knife down and followed in Lu Yuan's footstep. Fu, help them stop the bleeding, then find a carriage to send them back to the prefecture capital. From beginning to end, Zhou Donghuang's expression did not change much, and after instructing Fu, he left under the fearful and respectful gazes of the crowd. By doing this, young Master Donghuang is not only cutting off his own path of retreat, he is also cutting off the path of retreat of his family and those around him. Many sighed with bitter smiles. But isn't young Master Donghuang too ruthless? I don't think young Master Donghuang is ruthless. If he was really ruthless, he would have killed them all, perhaps even all of us, to cover up the news and not let the 3 great lesser families of the prefecture capital know. Young Master Donghuang is indeed not ruthless. Why don't you think about it? If young Master Donghuang was not as strong as them today, what would have happened to him? To put it bluntly, they are not kind people, they are here to rob Yunxian restaurant, they are bandits. No matter what, on the last day of the year 1227 of the Ziyun era, Zhou Donghuang's actions had once again made his name known throughout Qingshan town. At the same time, most people felt that Zhou Donghuang was dead for sure. Zhou Donghuang's family and those around him were also dead for sure. The news very quickly reached the ears of the 3 great lesser families of Qingshan town. The Wang family household. That Zhou Donghuang crippled the direct descendants of the 3 elite lesser families of the prefecture capital? After hearing about this, Red Crane Wang, the patriarch of the Wang family, laughed heartily. He's dead for sure. He's dead for sure. Father, I'm useless and can't avenge you. But now there's someone who can. The Zhong family household. This time, Zhou Donghuang is dead for sure. One of the 3 people sitting around the stone table, the second young master of the Zhong family, Zhong Yi, grinned coldly. He even dares to offend the 3 elite lesser families of the prefecture capital, that Zhou Donghuang is seeking his own death. The 3rd young mistress of the Zhong family, Zhong Xiu, also had a cold smile on her face. With Zhou Donghuang in danger, the grand patriarch of the Qin family will probably go back on his word and cancel the banquet for Qin Xiaoyu to be his adopted daughter. Qin Fei can finally relax and not have to address an 11-year-old girl as his aunt. The first young master of the Zhong family, Zhong Gang, laughed mockingly. The Qin family household. Grandfather, that Zhou Donghuang has offended the 3 elite lesser families of the prefecture capital. He is dead for sure. Since he is dead, there is no need for you to adopt Xiaoyu. Qin Fei said to Qin Yi in the independent courtyard that Qin Yi lived in. Father, if you still adopt Xiaoyu, I am afraid that the 3 elite lesser families of the prefecture capital will vent their anger on you and the Qin family. Qin Long, the patriarch of the Qin family, was also trying to persuade Qin Yi. Qin Yi will never go back on my word. However, Qin Yi was very determined. Since I have decided to adopt Xiaoyu, then I will. Even if Zhou Donghuang is dead, this decision will not change. Chapter 30. January 1st, 1228 of the Ziyun era. As the saying goes, New Year, New Year. On the first day of the New Year, many ordinary families in Qingshan town were willing to go to the expensive Yunxian restaurant for a meal. But this year, when they arrived at the main entrance of Yunxian restaurant, they found that it was not open. There was a piece of paper pasted on the main door with a line of words, Yunxian restaurant will be reorganized for a period of time. On the first day of its reopening, there will be a 50% discount on everything, including drink. Signed, Zhou Donghuang. Yunxian restaurant is closed? Looks like it's because of what happened yesterday. I heard that the head chef, waiters, and servant girls of Yunxian restaurant have all run away, only Chief Steward Fu is left. I thought it was just a rumor, but I didn't expect it to be true. When Yunxian restaurant next reopens, I'm afraid the boss will not be young Master Donghuang. The group of people gathered at the main entrance of Yunxian restaurant discussed this for a while before leaving for other smaller restaurants. The day before, Zhou Donghuang had maimed the young masters of the 3 elite lesser families of the prefecture capital, scaring the group of people in Yunxian restaurant into leaving, deeply afraid of being implicated by Zhou Donghuang. In the end, only Chief Steward Fu was left in the huge Yunxian restaurant. Therefore, Zhou Donghuang had Fu temporarily close Yunxian restaurant, because even if he did not close it, there was no way to continue operating. Everyone had left, and without manpower, there was no way to open for business. Of course, it was not only the group of people in Yunxian restaurant who had left, but also the group of servant girls and guards from the Magnolia Guild who had followed them. Just like the group of people in Yunxian restaurant. Faced with the 3 elite lesser families of the prefecture capital, they had no confidence in Zhou Donghuang, and were deeply afraid of being implicated and dying at the hands of the 3 elite lesser families. In an instant, the entire compound behind Yunxian restaurant became much more deserted. When the tree falls, the ashes scatter. Sitting at the stone table in the front yard, Zhou Donghuang tapped the table lightly with his right index and middle fingers. He shook his head with a smile, but he was not unhappy, because he could empathize with those people. Now, apart from him and his mother, the only people left were Granny Lian and Fu. Ah Fu, you should also cultivate true qi, right? Zhou Donghuang looked at Fu, who was standing respectfully at the side, and asked with a smile. He was surprised that Ah Fu stayed behind. After all, in the face of life and death, not many people would be willing to risk their lives to follow him. Boss, Ah Fu's aptitude is low. Although he has cultivated true qi, he has only cultivated a strength of 1 to 200 jin. Fu scratched his head in embarrassment and gave a silly smile. Is there anyone else at home? Zhou Donghuang asked. Ah Fu is an orphan. The silly smile on Ah Fu's face gradually disappeared. His eyelids drooped, and a hint of disappointment flashed across his eyes. From now on, my mother, Granny Lian, and I will be your family. Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed and he smiled. Also, you don't have to call me boss in the future. Just call me young master. Also, in these 2 days, cripple the qi in your body. I will impart a new technique to you and give you some qi-gathering elixir. If nothing goes wrong, no matter how poor your aptitude is, you will be able to attain level 1 of qi-gathering in half a year. Fu's staying meant that he was willing to bet his life on him, and Zhou Donghuang would naturally not mistreat such a person. He also intended to impart a technique to Granny Lian and formulate some qi-gathering elixir for her to consume. A friend in need is a friend indeed. After what had happened this time, he no longer treated Granny Lian and Fu as outsiders. Young master, there's no need to trouble yourself. Fu smiled bitterly and shook his head. In his view, he did not have many days left to live, and there was no need to go through so much trouble. What? You think I can't handle those 3 lesser families? Zhou Donghuang naturally saw through Fu's thoughts and laughed. Fu, you stayed just to wait for death with me? Young master, those 3 lesser families are elite lesser families, and there are more than 10 level 3 adepts in total, Zhou Donghuang said. As Fu reminded Zhou Donghuang, the bitter smile on his face deepened. Previously, when Zhou Donghuang had maimed the level 2 adept of the Li family of the prefecture capital, he had broken out in a cold sweat on Zhou Donghuang's behalf, deeply afraid that the Li family of the prefecture capital would seek revenge. Now, Zhou Donghuang had maimed the young master of the 3 elite lesser families of the prefecture capital, and he did not think that Zhou Donghuang could withstand the wrath of those 3 elite lesser families. He had tried to persuade Zhou Donghuang to leave, but he had failed. Therefore, he could only choose to wait for death with Zhou Donghuang. From the moment Zhou Donghuang had stood up for him yesterday, he had already placed his life in Zhou Donghuang's hands. Just as Zhou Donghuang was about to say something, Granny Lian had already rushed into the front yard and reported respectfully to Zhou Donghuang, "Young master, someone is looking for you outside. He says his name is Freezing Wind." Freezing Wind? A black figure appeared in Zhou Donghuang's mind. It was the cold-faced youth in black, the second in command of Green Wolf Bastion, Freezing Wind. Young master, he arrived on a Fergana horse, so he should not be an ordinary person. Granny Lian reminded him. Fu, bring him in. As Zhou Donghuang instructed Fu to bring Freezing Wind in, he said to Granny Lian, "Granny Lian, he is the second in command of Green Wolf Bastion who escorted me the last time I went to Ningping Town." It's him? Granny Lian was shocked. She had never imagined that the rather decent-looking youth she had just seen was actually a bandit who killed without batting an eyelid. A moment later, Freezing Wind was led into the front yard by Fu. "Greetings, young Master Donghuang." Freezing Wind bowed respectfully to Zhou Donghuang as soon as he entered. "What business do you have with me?" Zhou Donghuang asked. "I had intended to have a meal at Yunxian restaurant and meet you, young Master Donghuang. When I arrived, I discovered that Yunxian restaurant was closed." Freezing Wind said, "I heard about what happened yesterday when I was outside. Young Master Donghuang, I have come to ask you, are you still accepting people here?" In a few words, Freezing Wind revealed his purpose in coming to Zhou Donghuang. "If you still accept people, I would like to leave Green Wolf Bastion and follow you to serve you." "Serve me?" Zhou Donghuang was taken aback at first, and then he looked deeply at Freezing Wind. "You are the second in command of Green Wolf Bastion, and you have a group of subordinates. What's the point of following me? Plus, you know my current situation. Aren't you worried that when the 3 elite lesser families come to kill me, they'll vent their anger on you and kill you?" Zhou Donghuang asked with a smile. "Young Master Donghuang, actually, when I saw you in action the last time, I had the thought of following you and serving you. However, if I had told you then that I wanted to follow you and serve you, it would have been too abrupt," Freezing Wind said. "Today, knowing the situation that young Master Donghuang is facing, I know that my chance has come. Although the 3 elite lesser families are very strong, and even young Master Donghuang would find it difficult to stand against them, however, I still want to follow you. Even if I die in this battle against the 3 elite lesser families, I will have no regret." Freezing Wind spoke very seriously, his gaze firm and fearless as he met Zhou Donghuang's gaze. There are many choices in one's life. Some choices, if right, could lead to a good future. If wrong, it could lead to eternal damnation. If you leave Green Wolf Bastion to follow me and serve me, isn't that equivalent to betraying Green Wolf Bastion? "I have no interest in being a traitor," Zhou Donghuang said lightly. "After all, if you can betray Green Wolf Bastion today, you can betray me tomorrow." "Young Master Donghuang, you misunderstand." Freezing Wind sighed. "Actually, I don't want to be a bandit. The reason I stayed in Green Wolf Bastion was purely to repay the first-in-command of Green Wolf Bastion for saving my life that year. Now I have already repaid all the debts that I have to repay. If I have the chance to leave Green Wolf Bastion, I don't want to stay any longer." As Freezing Wind said this, Zhou Donghuang stared at him intently. The eyes were the windows to the soul, and with Zhou Donghuang's thousands of years of experience, he could naturally tell that Freezing Wind was not lying. "If I'm not wrong, you chose to follow me now because you want to take a gamble?" Zhou Donghuang's gaze suddenly deepened as he asked this question. Zhou Donghuang's deep gaze gave Freezing Wind the feeling that he had nowhere to hide, and he nodded without hesitation. "I admit this. If young Master Donghuang is unable to withstand this crisis from the three great lesser families, I, Freezing Wind, will die with you. And if young Master Donghuang can withstand it, I believe that you will give me a better future." Freezing Wind's words were frank and honest, without a hint of hypocrisy. "Interesting." Zhou Donghuang smiled faintly. "In that case, go back and pack your things, then come find me." Zhou Donghuang's words undoubtedly meant that he had agreed to let Freezing Wind stay and work for him. "Thank you, young master." Freezing Wind's eyes lit up, and he hurriedly bowed in thanks. "Tomorrow I will come find you, young master." At this time, Freezing Wind also changed the way he addressed Zhou Donghuang, from young Master Donghuang to young master. After Freezing Wind left, Granny Lien looked at Zhou Donghuang worriedly. "Young master, there are no good people among the bandits. Isn't it inappropriate for him to follow you?" Earlier, when Freezing Wind was around, Granny Lien could not rebut Zhou Donghuang. Now that Freezing Wind had left, she could not help but remind Zhou Donghuang. "Granny Lien, don't worry about this. I think I have some ability to judge people." Zhou Donghuang shook his head and smiled. "Furthermore, under these circumstances, do you think an ordinary person would dare to follow me?" Freezing Wind was a magnanimous person, and his character was good, which suited Zhou Donghuang's taste. Furthermore, Zhou Donghuang was in need of manpower now. With such a person coming to his door to work for him, even if he were to travel far in the future, he would feel more at ease. Compared to his mother, Lin Lan, Freezing Wind was more adaptable. Chapter 31. It was January 2nd, 1228 of the Ziyun era. Early in the morning, Granny Lien handed a letter from the Qin family to Zhou Donghuang. "Young master, this letter was sent by the Qin family. It is said that the Qin family chief, Qin Yi, wrote it personally. The banquet has been cancelled?" The letter said that the banquet in a few days was cancelled, but Qin Yi had repeatedly promised Zhou Donghuang that even if he did not adopt Qin Xiaoyu as his daughter, the Qin family would not mistreat her. In addition, Qin Yi said in the letter that he had already destroyed the sheet of paper on which the lesser-grade palm technique was recorded, and that he would not practice it again, nor would he pass it on to anyone in the Qin family. It looks like Qin Yi is also afraid of the three lesser families of the prefecture capital. Zhou Donghuang put down the letter in his hand and smiled faintly. "Young master," Granny Lien said, "I received news yesterday that was not the case. The Qin family chief actually did not intend to cancel the banquet to adopt Xiaoyu as his daughter. However, the elders of the Qin clan threatened to kill themselves. Moreover, the Qin clan's patriarch, Qin Long, and the Qin clan's eldest young master, Qin Fei, fanned the flames. In the end, the Qin clan's patriarch had no choice but to compromise." Granny Lien sighed as she spoke. "I knew it. This did not seem like something Qin Yi would do, so that's why." Zhou Donghuang suddenly understood. Just now, when he had read the contents of the letter, he had thought that he had misjudged Qin Yi this time. It turned out that there was such a story behind all this. However, the reaction of the Qin family was within his expectations. Everyone in Qingshan town would think that the Qin family was trying to curry favor with Zhou Donghuang by hosting the banquet and Qin Yi adopting Qin Xiaoyu as his daughter. Even most of the Qin family would definitely think so. Only Zhou Donghuang knew that Qin Yi was not doing this to curry favor with him, but to return the favor of giving the lesser-grade palm technique to the Qin family. But so what? The three lesser families of the prefecture capital would only listen to the words of the people of Qingshan town. If they knew that the Qin family had a close relationship with Zhou Donghuang, they would definitely not let the Qin family off lightly. The Qin family had cancelled the banquet to draw a line between themselves and him in order to protect themselves. The three great lesser families? Zhou Donghuang raised his eyebrows, and a cold smile appeared on his lips. In order to get Yunxian restaurant to open as soon as possible, it looks like I'll have to make a trip to the prefecture capital myself. As long as the matter of the three lesser families was not resolved, no one dared to work for him in Yunxian restaurant. As a result, Yunxian restaurant was unable to open for business. Just as Zhou Donghuang was about to make a trip to the prefecture capital, Freezing Wind arrived and said, "Young master, I have settled the matter of Green Wolf Bastion. From now on I will follow you." "Yes." Zhou Donghuang nodded lightly, then called out to Freezing Wind and led him into a quiet room. "Young master, what are your orders?" Seeing Zhou Donghuang bring him into the quiet room, Freezing Wind thought that Zhou Donghuang had something for him to do. "I have a way for you to attain level 2 of Qi gathering in 3 days. Zhou Donghuang went straight to the point. At the same time, it can completely stimulate the potential of your muscles, allowing you to unleash the maximum strength of your muscles. Attain level 2 of Qi gathering in 3 days. Freezing Wind gasped, his eyes shining as he stared at Zhou Donghuang. As for the maximum strength of his muscles, he had no idea, and he did not think much of it. Although Freezing Wind was confident that he could attain level 2 of Qi gathering in the near future, it would take at least 2 months. Now, hearing Zhou Donghuang say that he could attain level 2 of Qi gathering in 3 days, how could he not be excited? The muscle strength of an ordinary adult fluctuates between 100 and 200 Jin, and the maximum muscle strength of an ordinary adult is about 1,500 Jin. Zhou Donghuang continued. Zhou Donghuang's words made Freezing Wind begin to take seriously the maximum muscle strength that Zhou Donghuang spoke of seriously. "Young master, what you mean is that, within 3 days, besides attaining level 2 of Qi gathering, you can also help me master an additional 500 Jin of muscle strength?" Freezing Wind's breathing quickened as he asked this question. If anyone else had told him this, he would not have believed it. But, although he found it unbelievable that Zhou Donghuang had said it, he did not doubt that it was false. "Not only that," Zhou Donghuang continued. "While I help you stimulate the maximum strength of your muscles, the qi in your body can also be temporarily stored in the expanded muscles. After that, I will teach you a better technique, and you can switch to that technique. Within 3 days, with that technique, not only will you be able to transfer the qi stored in the expanded muscles back into your meridians, you can also break through and attain level 2 of qi gathering." As Zhou Donghuang spoke, Freezing Wind's eyes shone even brighter, and he immediately bowed. "Thank you, young master, for your help." Although he still found it hard to believe, Freezing Wind was prepared to give it a try. What if he really succeeded? Within 3 days, attaining level 2 of Qi gathering, mastering more than 500 Jin of muscle strength, and being able to switch to a better technique to him, this was undoubtedly a great thing. If I really have that kind of power, even the 3 great lesser families will not dare to offend me. Freezing Wind's eyes shone as he looked at Zhou Donghuang expectantly, and his body trembled uncontrollably with excitement. "Don't be in a hurry to thank me." Seeing Freezing Wind's excitement, Zhou Donghuang narrowed his eyes. "You should have heard the saying, the greater the reward, the greater the risk. Just like when you were a bandit, if you could rob the people of the governor's household, you would definitely be able to rob more and better things, but that is also very risky. If you are not careful, the entire Green Wolf Bastion will be razed to the ground by the governor's household." Zhou Donghuang reminded Freezing Wind. Freezing Wind felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over him, and he completely calmed down. Young master, what is the risk? To do what I just said, you must endure the pain of being cut into pieces for 2 hours. Every inch of your muscles will suffer the agony of being bitten by ants and insects. As Zhou Donghuang spoke, he looked deeply at Freezing Wind. Out of 100 people, there may not be one who can endure that kind of extreme pain and survive. And those who are able to survive are all people with strong willpower. At this point, Zhou Donghuang paused before continuing. Now, it depends on whether you are willing to endure this kind of pain and challenge life and death. Once you fail, you will die. As he finished speaking, Zhou Donghuang reminded Freezing Wind again. Pain of being cut into pieces? Every inch of my muscles will suffer the agony of being bitten by ants and insects. Hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, Freezing Wind felt his scalp go numb, and he muttered in a daze, out of 100 people, there may not be one who can survive. Zhou Donghuang stood to one side, quietly waiting for Freezing Wind to make his decision. He wanted Freezing Wind to make this decision because he hoped that when he left Qingshan town and headed to the prefecture capital, he would have less to worry about. Only by doing this could Freezing Wind have the ability to protect his mother, Granny Lian, and Fu in the shortest time possible. Although he had told Freezing Wind that out of 100 people, only one would be able to endure that kind of pain and not die. But he did not say that with him by his side, even if Freezing Wind could not endure the pain, he would not die. At most, he would fail. The reason why he did not say this to Freezing Wind was because he wanted to see if Freezing Wind had the courage. Furthermore, if he had told Freezing Wind from the start that there was a way out, Freezing Wind would not only be willing to give it a try, but he would also not be able to unleash his full potential in the process. So he did not say all this, intentionally putting Freezing Wind on the line between life and death. After about 5 breaths, Freezing Wind looked at Zhou Donghuang, his eyes like lightning. Young master, riches come with risk. I am willing to give it a try. Although the price was high, the reward was also high, so Freezing Wind decided to give it a try. Of course, most importantly, he had confidence in himself. Seeing Freezing Wind agree after a moment's consideration, Zhou Donghuang's lips could not help but curl up in a smile. This Freezing Wind did not disappoint him after all. Wait here for a while, I will go out and prepare the tools. Zhou Donghuang bade Freezing Wind farewell and went out to find Granny Lian, asking her to give him the silver needles that he had asked her to prepare yesterday. There were a total of 18 silver needles, lying in an exquisite sandalwood box, the tips of the needles gleaming with a cold light. Returning to the quiet room, Zhou Donghuang used the acupuncture technique he had accidentally obtained on Earth, the muscle tendon changing and marrow cleansing needles, to perform acupuncture on Freezing Wind. At the start, Freezing Wind's body only trembled slightly, and he broke out in cold sweat. After about 15 minutes, Freezing Wind's face was contorted, and blood flowed from his orifices. His face was contorted with blood, making him look especially ferocious. About an hour later, Freezing Wind's pores were basically bleeding. However, the blood that flowed out wasn't pure red blood. Instead, it was a mixture of black and red blood. This Freezing Wind has such a strong will. After half an hour, Freezing Wind's body was covered in blood, but he still gritted his teeth and did not make a sound. Even though Zhou Donghuang had seen many things in his previous life, he could not help but be moved. Even in his previous life, it was rare to see someone with such a strong will. Looks like I've picked up a treasure this time. Zhou Donghuang's eyes lit up, and he thought to himself, I was prepared to just give him a passable technique, but now it looks like I can consider teaching him the 1,000-star sword technique. The 1,000-star sword technique was one of the top techniques that Zhou Donghuang had in his possession. It was one of the best techniques in the universe, and it came from the supreme 1,000-star sword sect. Of course, although he felt that Freezing Wind was a good person, and he intended to teach him the 1,000-star sword technique. However, Zhou Dongwang had only intended to teach him the portion of the qi-gathering stage of the thousand-star sword technique. As for the rest of the technique, he would consider teaching it to Freezing Wind in the future. Everything depended on Freezing Wind's performance and whether he was satisfied. Chapter 32. Late at night, January 3, 1228 of the Ziyun era. Thump, thump. Two hurried knocks on the door broke the silence of the courtyard behind Yunxian restaurant and startled Zhou Dongwang, who was practicing in his room. Zhou Dongwang opened his eyes, jumped off the bed, and opened the door to see Freezing Wind standing outside. Ling Hanfeng was dressed in black and his long hair was draped over his back. It complemented his cold face and made him look wild and unruly. "Young master, I have broken through." Seeing Zhou Dongwang, Freezing Wind's stern face twitched slightly, and his eyes shone with excitement. Yesterday morning, after the pain, he had been better off dead than alive. But now, he felt that it had all been worth it. Not bad. Zhou Dongwang's eyes lit up, and he nodded in satisfaction. Although he had known that Freezing Wind would break through early, he had not expected it to be so soon. It looked like he had underestimated Freezing Wind's talent. Previously, he had told Freezing Wind that he could attain level 2 of Qi gathering within 3 days, but that was under the condition that he had imparted another technique to Freezing Wind. Later, he had imparted the 7-star sword technique to Freezing Wind, and with the help of the top-notch technique in the universe and the Qi gathering elixir that he had given him, Freezing Wind had naturally attained level 2 of Qi gathering. He had thought that Freezing Wind would need another 2 days to attain level 2 of Qi gathering, but unexpectedly, he had broken through in less than 2 days. "How is your practice of the swiftness technique that I gave you outside Ningping town?" Zhou Dongwang asked. "Young master, that is a 3rd-grade swiftness technique, and I can barely execute it in its entirety now. To reach the point where I can do it as I please, I still need some time to familiarize myself with it." Although Freezing Wind did not dare to let his bandits practice the 3rd-grade swiftness technique, star-stepping footwork, that Zhou Dongwang had given him, he had secretly practiced it himself. In addition, he had imparted it to his old brother who had followed him for many years, Yu Hengquan, whom he called Scar. "Not bad." Zhou Dongwang nodded and said to Freezing Wind, "Come in, I have something for you." With that, Zhou Dongwang returned to his room, and Freezing Wind hurriedly followed. Zhou Dongwang walked up to the table, picked up the 2 pieces of paper that had been filled with words, and handed them to Freezing Wind. Freezing Wind reached out and took a piece of paper. His eyes narrowed. "This is a 3rd-rate sword technique. This 3rd-rate martial art, Swift Gale Sword, is a martial art with great destructive power among 3rd-rate offensive martial arts because it relies on the sword," Zhou Dongwang said. "Let's take a look at the other martial art," Zhou Dongwang reminded. At that moment, Freezing Wind picked up another piece of paper and looked at it. The moment his eyes landed on it, it was as if he was rooted in it and couldn't move his eyes away. The more he read, the more shocked Freezing Wind became. "Why do I feel that this sword technique is even more profound than Swift Wind Sword?" Faced with Freezing Wind's shock, Zhou Dongwang smiled lightly. A 2nd-rate martial art is naturally more profound than a 3rd-rate martial art. As soon as Zhou Dongwang said this, Freezing Wind was stunned, as if he had been struck by lightning. His body froze, and he didn't move for a long time. After a while, he regained his senses and looked at Zhou Dongwang in shock. "Young master, this is a 2nd-rate martial art? In the whole of Yunyang country, there was only one 2nd-rate martial art, right? Furthermore, that 2nd-rate martial art was the national martial art of Yunyang country. But now, what was recorded on the piece of paper in his hand was also a 2nd-rate martial art. Although a 2nd-rate martial art is good with your current qi, you can only use one move at most. If it's not necessary, try not to use it." Zhou Dongwang said lightly, "Originally, I didn't intend to give it to you so soon, but tomorrow, I plan to leave Qingshan town and go to the prefecture capital. So, I'll give it to you first, and you can just practice 1 or 2 moves to defend yourself. With Freezing Wind's current ability, a third-rate swiftness technique, star-stepping footwork, and a third-rate sword technique, Swift Wind Sword, would be enough for him to defeat most level 3 adepts. Freezing Wind only needed to master 1 or 2 moves of a second-rate sword technique, and even an ordinary level 4 adept would find it difficult to escape from his sword. Young master, are you going to the prefecture capital to look for the 3 elite lesser families? Freezing Wind's eyes flashed. I'll go with you. Now, Freezing Wind was full of confidence. The 3 lesser families did not even have a lesser-grade martial art, and the strongest among them was only a level 3 adept. With his current ability, he could make the 3 lesser families bow their head. No need. Zhou Dongwang shook his head. You stay here, look after the house, and protect my mother and Granny Lien. Tomorrow, I'll bring Fu with me. Young master, why don't I make a trip to the 3 lesser families of the prefecture capital alone? Freezing Wind said, Young master, don't worry, I'll make sure they behave themselves, and they won't dare to have any designs on you or Yunxian restaurant. I'm going to the prefecture capital not only for the 3 lesser families, but also for some other matters that I have to attend to personally. At this point, Freezing Wind did not insist. At the same time, his heart trembled slightly. Young master's ability, even compared to the current me, is only stronger, not weaker. It was not difficult for Freezing Wind to see that his young master did not think much of the 3 elite lesser families of the prefecture capital, daring to bring Fu, who had no ability at all, to the prefecture capital to look for the 3 elite lesser families. To think that he had thought that his young master was in trouble, now that he thought about it, it was laughable. After I leave, I'll leave the house to you. Zhou Dongwang looked at Freezing Wind with a piercing gaze and said in a low voice, If anything happens to my mother, I'll hold you responsible. Young master, don't worry, as long as I, Freezing Wind, am not dead, no one will be able to harm a single hair on Madam's head. Freezing Wind vowed solemnly. His current ability was something he had not even dared to imagine a few days ago, and because of this, he was extremely grateful to Zhou Dongwang, who had given him all this. Early the next morning, Zhou Dongwang left the compound behind Yunxian restaurant with Fu and left Qingshan town. Fu steered the carriage drawn by the Fergana horse and headed in the direction of the prefecture capital. Zhou Dongwang stayed in the carriage practicing. Ever since I formulated the qi-gathering elixir that can increase the sensitivity to qi by 4 times, the speed of my practice has increased in a few days at most. I'll be able to smoothly attain level 2 of qi-gathering. Zhou Dongwang was very satisfied with his current level of practice. Now, it had only been 10 days since he had attained level 1 of qi-gathering. Originally, it would have taken him about 20 days to attain level 2 of qi-gathering. However, with the help of the old patriarch of the Qin family, Qin Yi, who had gone to the prefecture capital to formulate an even better qi-gathering elixir, the 20 days had been further shortened. Now, counting from the day he attained level 1 of qi-gathering, it would only take him half a month to attain level 2 of qi-gathering, barring any unforeseen circumstances. The journey from Qingshan town to the prefecture capital is a long one, and even with the Fergana horse drawing the carriage, including the rest time on the way, it will take at least 4 or 5 days. If all goes well, by the time I reach the prefecture capital, I'll have attained level 2 of qi-gathering. Zhou Dongwang's eyes flashed, and he closed his eyes and immersed himself in practice. The Lord of the Four Supremes is indeed a technique that was placed together with the space-time matrix on Kunlun Mountain. While the speed of practice is fast, the foundation is also very stable. I don't have to worry about breaking through too quickly and causing my foundation to be unstable. After practicing the Lord of the Four Supremes for a period of time, Zhou Dongwang increasingly felt the extraordinary qualities of the Lord of the Four Supremes. Compared to the journey from Qingshan town to Ningping town, the journey from Qingshan town to the prefecture capital was much more peaceful. On the first day, no bandits or wild beasts came to disturb Zhou Donghuang's practice until late at night. A Fergana horse? There was the sound of hooves and the wheels of a carriage rolling over the flat ground in the distance, and very quickly, Fu, who was driving the carriage, saw through the moonlight that a carriage also drawn by a Fergana horse was galloping in their direction. And the only place this official road led to was Qingshan town. Of course, the other party could also be passing through Qingshan town and heading somewhere else. Someone who can draw a carriage with a Fergana horse is either rich or of high status, and they're coming from the direction of the prefecture capital. Surely they're not here to cause trouble for Yunxian restaurant? Fu took a deep breath at this thought, pulled open the curtains of the carriage, and called out, "Young master, there's a carriage drawn by a Fergana horse on the other side, and it's heading towards Qingshan town. Could it be that they're also coming from the prefecture capital to Qingshan town to rob you of Yunxian restaurant?" Fu voiced his conjecture. He had been in Qingshan town for many years, and this was the first time he had seen someone draw a carriage with a Fergana horse other than his young master's. Even the previous owner of Yunxian restaurant, Grandpa Zhao San, had never used a Fergana horse to draw a carriage before. It was not that Grandpa Zhao San was not rich enough or daring enough, but that he could not bear to let the Fergana horse he had raised since he was a child pull a carriage. A carriage drawn by a Fergana horse? Zhou Donghuang, who had been startled awake by Fu, immediately stopped practicing, pulled open the curtains, and walked out of the carriage, looking into the distance. There, a carriage drawn by a Fergana horse was getting closer and closer. Fu stopped them. Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed as he said this to Fu. Driving a carriage drawn by a Fergana horse in the direction of Qingshan town, it might really be as Fu had guessed. The people inside were going to Qingshan town to rob his Yunxian restaurant. "Yes, young master." Fu responded and drove the carriage in front of the other carriage, causing the driver to hurriedly pull on the reins of the Fergana horse and stop the carriage. "Who are you? Why are you blocking our carriage?" The driver of the opposite carriage was a middle-aged man with a full beard, and he glared angrily at Zhou Donghuang and Fu. "What's the matter?" Just then, an impatient voice came from the other carriage. "Second young master, it's a carriage that's deliberately blocking our way and stopping us." The expression on the face of the curly-bearded man changed slightly, and he hurriedly turned to explain to the person in the carriage.